comment, and subscribe.
All right, campers, I heard from an anonymous source that someone is supporting trans rights. Not cool, dude.
Wow, babe. Can you believe it? We finally made it to New York City. The concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Nothing, and I mean nothing, could ruin this moment. I love you so much, and I hope we can spend the rest of our lives together. What's that, baby? I'm about to step on a comedically placed banana peel and fall on my ass. What are you talking about? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm okay. Thank God it wasn't, I don't know, like a cartoon-style falling piano. Hey, by the way, what's that noise? I'm okay. If there was like a semi-truck or something like that, I'd probably be dead.
Time. 何を用意してくれたんですか、パウチ。機能獲得変異を開始する。スパイク血溶効率を再調査。シブ種適応率上昇中。そして最後の食草はワイフ粒子だ。
大西洋を航行中のクルーズ船で希少な変態ウイルスの感染開会が数週なって続けています。ゼタユーヤの感染開会が少なくとも乗客3名の死亡が確認されました。続報が入り次第お伝えします。
You believe the Hantavirus that came under?
Yeah, it was a deadly virus spread by field mice in the southwestern United States several years ago.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the Hantavirus. You can believe what the Federal Emergency Management Agency's real power is? FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. Think about that.
Please, Lord, quickly eviscerate every black politician, those that are even lying in the hospital on their sick bed dying, or those that are dying of a terminal cancer such as what Al Sharpton, perhaps starting with Al Sharpton first. Please Auschwitz them. Almighty God, hear my cry, hear my plea. Dachau, Auschwitz, every black politician. My only regret is that I can't include Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy, Obama, and that cry to have them genocided because Obama is not black, and neither Camelback ain't Black Harry. But Lord, set us free. Lord, rain down fire and brimstone as you did on that fateful night there in Sodom and Gomorrah. Or if need be, the way you caused the flood during the days of Noah. Please relieve us of all, every, and any black politician, past and present. Please remove them, all of them, from the face of the earth and from their plague upon humanity.
Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're having a wonderful day today on this Disclosure Day, where we have aliens, we have a new virus outbreak, we have other wacky weirdness going on all the time, apparently, and I don't even know. It just seems like something's off. It just seems like something's off. Somebody hopped us over into the wrong timeline. It feels like somebody else took over the show or something. It's really strange. Strange day, but that's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some wonderful news for all of you. We're having a special stream tomorrow. I'm going to call it something something wacky, like the Council of Chud or something, okay? Because tomorrow tomorrow we are having Rhetorically Defective, Tom Foe, and Atlas Thugged on the show for a special stream, and it's going to be very, very special. And then on Monday, update for everybody who's in the Discord or not in the Discord because you're not cool enough. But on Monday, we are doing a build review. So if you're in the Discord, well, guess what? You should probably post your build so we can make fun of you. Although I do have to say that pound for pound, my Discord community has actually a ridiculous amount of drip and, dare I say, functional rifle setups that they've been posting. So it's really not even going to be a roast your build or a post your cringe. It's going to be like 2 hours of the best builds you ever done did see, mister. But other than that, what other news do we have today? So yeah, we got the Hantavirus and the UFO boomer slot maxing type stuff. What else do we have? Ooh, we have gay articles by gay people written about gun rights, which is very cringe. We have the CP rail, the CP1 rail. You couldn't call it something else? All right, fair enough. And then, CHP has the new MMP 2.0. 52nd largest military in the world, happens to be the state police for California. But without any further ado, we are going to get into silly stuff. I'm going to start out with a little bit of a light humor, shall we? Other than, just the fact that I'm the host of this show. But this guy, Bone Tactical, we've talked about him before. He's done, AI renditions. And I do want to say that me and Bone Tactical have never been seen in the same room together. So just keep that in mind, that me and him, as of right now, no confirmed sightings of the two of us together. It's very ironic that I decided to shave my head last night and then covered this guy on the next day. But anyways, this is just cringe maxing. So a little bit of humor to start out the show, a couple little light W's, and then we'll get into the UFO disclosure stuff, even though it's the most retarded slop you've ever heard of in your life. So it's not really that interesting.
That stuff. Now, almost all plate carriers have Molly. I've had so many.
All right, let me restart this. I don't think that's the beginning.
You want to be able to attach stuff. Now, almost all plate carriers have Molly. I've had so many level 1 guys. And if you don't know what a level 1 guy is, you definitely have to check out the level tactical.
See, this is another thing that all of these terrible trainers and people do when they're scamming their audience. They come up with their own vernacular and their own list of terms that you have to follow. So if you don't know what a level 1 guy is, me personally, I'm a level 3 guy. You wouldn't get it as a level 1 guy, but as a level 3 Chad myself, I literally just put it in the Discord. Stop messaging me on Instagram, okay? I got to get another Instagram account just for these.
Skill level playlist, learn how to advance a little bit. So many level 1 guys have seen me wearing this plate carrier and made comments like, "Oh, pegboard, you have pegboard on your chest." Or, "Look, there's zip ties holding your stuff on. Have you tried running with that? It's going to fall off." I've had such ignorant, foolish comments like, "Really, guys? You've never heard of stainless steel zip tie that's rated to..." Man, I use stainless steel zip ties for things that have taken thousands.
Now, really, the elephant in the room is that this guy is in South America somewhere where gun rights are not quite the same as they are here. These guys are not going to stop messaging me. This is going to ruin half my show. Okay, I got a lot of Instagram clips to look at today. Thank you, James. Damn it, I got to stop. Lock in, John. Lock in here. Anyways, this guy lives in South America because of, assault or rape or some other conviction that he's fleeing in the United States. So he lives somewhere in the, somewhere where he can't get extradited, basically. So the reason why he's not too concerned with guns or magazines is because it's harder for him to acquire those things in the first place. And so this pegboard plate carrier, while certainly modular, is also incredibly stupid. And somebody else said it better than I could. The I want to be different final boss, which actually has more than twice the likes of the actual post on Bone Tactical's page. But I gotta be honest, that Jordan Brooks dude seems like a level 1 dude. Seems like he's not going to make it.
And thousands of pounds of pressure. That's not the ones I use on my plate carriers. I use tie and bets with a metal locking stainless steel, just the insert. Those things are so strong and they're fast and they're modular. And guess what? Real estate, you want to be able to attach stuff. Now, almost all plate carriers.
Now, I love that also he probably used like Opus Clip or something else to cut that out for his Instagram, because it doesn't really have a start or an end. It's just like, it's an AI program that just randomly clips your clips or whatever it is, your long form videos, and puts the text on them. So that had absolutely no point to it. But thank you for your pegboard. And again, keep in mind that this dude makes AI videos of himself, which is very funny and just maximum slop content. Like, this is Trench Grenade in like 15 minutes or 2 weeks or something like that. 2 weeks to slow the trench. But just an absolute mongoloid, very, very special case that is funny to take a look at every now and again. Now, this next one is a bit of a jump scare, ladies and gentlemen, but it's also a very important topic, okay? You know, mental health among men, or people in this case, is not something to be joked about, all right? So I had to see this, so you do too.
Health, raise your hand. For the record, every hand should be up. Part of the problem that we have is we use mental health and mental illness interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. If you have mental health, raise your hand.
I got jump scared by the fat sack hanging off the arm there. Now the joke here is, of course, if you have mental health, raise your hand. Now, I think the thing about this is a sincere clip. So they turned off comments on this, right? And then the description, the caption is very melodramatic in their, poetic waxing or whatever. However, the individual on screen doesn't have any level of health, certainly not mental, with the hair color, kind of a dead giveaway. Not physical health, no. Probably not spiritual health either, if I had to guess. Of course, pray for this person for redemption. But just a couple things, a couple giveaways on here that are given away that maybe it should not be talking about mental health, other than if they were checking into some sort of mental institution. Christian says built-in floaties. That's good. Yes. Built-in floaties. The reverse Popeyes. Popeyes, the hormone man. Water retention wings. Okay. Well, hey, there could be some shortages coming up. So maybe it is way ahead of the curve. Okay. Now, this is a perfectly named account, okay? Because an Indian man in Thailand has been beaten up by a group of retarded men after refusing to pay for a service. So the random L's and W's, this is a L and a W at the same time. It's an W because people are beating up an Indian man, but it's an L because they're trans, and then there's an Indian man involved in the first place. So it's just... The voice always, you ever notice when these people, quote unquote, get upset, the voice always comes out, right? They always just revert to their very masculine voice. And the poor, maybe he is a poor Indian man, can't pay for the service. Maybe he got service a little too hard. Maybe he wasn't expecting the second half. Like, I'm not sure what was going on there, but it is a bit of an L and a bit of a W. But good on those men for standing up for something, I suppose. Anyways, that was enough cringe. Let's go ahead and get into the real important news of the day, and that is going to be the boomer slop, the Gen X slop, the UFO disclosure day, okay? Because, listen, the light in the sky, you know that video of the retard, like, really looking into the block of lights as the colors change, and he's just, like, so into it. He's mesmerized by it, right? He can barely comprehend what's happening. Very, very similar thing going on here with a bunch of your favorite UFO peddlers, right? It's all gay nonsense, okay? Here is now Saint Seraphim Rose with his book Orthodox and the Religion of the Future, saying, hey, I know what you are, right? This stuff was written about a long time ago. The alien psyop, Israel, probably can't hurt you. Israel mentioned, but I mean, this stuff is This stuff is literally ridiculous. Okay. People are losing their minds over basically nothing. So for us, it's basically just entertainment, which is really all this is. This is smoke and mirrors. This is bread and circuses. But maybe this circus will be slightly more interesting than the last one at best. At best.
Fox News alert, the Trump administration releasing the first batch of files related to UFOs and alien life.
So is the truth really out there?
Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey joins us live with the details. What have you learned, Peter?
Good morning. So a White House official left this hard drive on my desk overnight. You can see on it.
I wonder if it's the same hard drive that had the Pam Bondi files before she was kicked to the curb, so to speak. Whatever happened to those files, by the way? Don't ask about those. Don't ask about those files. Don't ask about the thousands of hours of video that's been redacted. Don't ask about the 98% of data left out of the Epstein files. Don't concern yourself with that, dear Goyam. You, my friend, need to be concerned with UFOs and lockdowns 2.0 in an election year, no doubt. Why does it always happen in an election year?
It says AARO files copy 2 of 3. That is the all domain resolution office copy 2 of 3. This is the first big batch of UFO disclosure ordered by President Trump. Some of the clips and videos on there have popped up different places before. Some of them have not. And we have been going through this all morning and overnight to try to put together some of the best videos so we can all look at this together. This is a world exclusive right here. So let's go to the first clip over the skies of the United Arab Emirates in June 2024. An inverted teardrop with a vertically linear trailing mass, as described by the War Department, suspended below. The War Department.
So if this is a thermal image, right? It's very important to remember that a thermal image is just the heat signature. It's not actually the thing itself, right? So it's like, oh, wow, look at this really weird heat signature thingamajig. We have no idea what that is. It could be so far away. Like, we literally have no idea. And also, it's like in the age of AI, where AI can almost perfectly replicate a human, like the idea that it couldn't be used to manipulate like generic grainy thermal imaging footage from 10 miles away is like ludicrous to think that it's not also being used. Like this is worthless. This is nothing. This is like, if it's something real, it's like a drone or a balloon or some other sort of, small mechanical device, not some sort of extraterrestrial being that came from 16 gajillion light years away and then happened to get photographed by a U.S. military airplane. Really doubt it. For some reason, I really doubt that.
Cannot say for sure what this is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. The next video, over the skies of Iraq, December 2022, moving bottom left to top right of the field of view.
Wow, a heat signature moved at like 40 miles an hour in a war zone. That's crazy. Now, again, there's weird drone footage out there. I've seen the weird thermal imaging of like things appearing to phase through other objects, right? It's just, that's weird. Well, I can't explain that. Therefore, alien distraction? What? Balloon with a string? Definitely. Yeah, tell me how you could tell from 1,000 feet away on your phone right now how that's not a drone. How you can personally confirm that that's not a drone. No, that heat signature, 1,000 feet away, moving 40 miles an hour is definitely not a drone. I can confirm that because what?
All CENTCOM gets from this is an area of contrast. That's what they describe it as. It is officially still listed as an unresolved UAP report. Next video, over the skies of Greece, October 2023. What is described as a small and circular UAP flying near the surface of the ocean.
Again, keep in mind that this is, I believe, looking down on the object as it's flying over the water. All this is a heat signature. So we're not actually seeing the thing itself, but its heat signature, right? So what does it actually look like? What shape is it? What actually is it? Who knows? Now, also, like, I don't know why aliens is a logical conclusion to any of this. Like, what's more logical? Your government testing out secretive military hardware in, remote places, or, Gork from 16 gajillion light years doing reconnaissance in Greece. Why? What's the counterexample? You think an alien race that has access to, interdimensional travel or faster than light travel showed up and then had to get like right next to Greece to be discovered by, what would it would consider ancient technology? Like, that's your logic? Like, surely, like, just some sort of anomaly, a drone, some sort of all small unmanned device, secretive military hardware, like all of the reported sightings back in the 50s and 60s when, we hadn't disclosed what type of planes we had yet. And they were like, oh, wow, UFO, UFO, UFO. And 20 years later, it's like, no, that's just test flights of all these weird, wacky planes that we had at the time. Like, it's really not that exciting, guys.
Towards land. CENTCOM can't tell us what it is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report. Within the last 2 minutes, all of these videos have gone live on war.gov/UFO, and a White House official
and this is the most exciting footage that they have, and they're like, "Yep, there's alien life out there." Because there's a heat signature near Greece that we don't have like a close-up photo of. Like, that's the logical jump from thermal imaging footage, if it's even real in the first place, right? There's a heat signature above the water in Greece. We don't know what it is. Therefore, aliens. Really?
Fox first. While past administrations sought to discredit or dissuade the American people, President Trump is focused on providing maximum transparency to the public, who can also.
What about the other half of the Epstein files and allegedly the thousands of hours of video footage that they recovered from the Epstein estates? What about that transparency? Like, the alien stuff doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't affect us. Like whether the alien stuff is real. Like, let's, for a second, for the sake of argument, let's just say aliens, the big real, they're here, and they're going to probe you and then annihilate you. What could you as an individual possibly do against like the might of an alien race that had come to destroy you from another solar system, again, 16 gajillion light years away? Like, even if you accept that as true, like, how could this possibly affect your day-to-day life? Right? It's like, this is just worthless information. This is just a circus. This is just a distraction. There are actual problems in your life that you could solve or that the government could solve, right? Instead, they're like, hey, what about grainy thermal imaging? Like, that's pretty exciting, right? Right? It's like, it's the same thing as like a cat getting distracted by a laser, It's hungry and it needs, its needs met, but instead you're just like shining a flashlight at the wall and it's like, oh, whoa, look at that. That's crazy. What is that thing? Can't explain it.
Ultimately make up their own minds about the information contained in these files. And
dude, I wish you had that same. Yeah, you can make up your own mind about the files. We'll just release them all. I wish you had that same sort of mindset when it came to Epstein. That's strange. It's crazy.
There's also a fresh look at some historical records. There's this from Apollo 17 included in this big document dump. One of the astronauts says, we've got a few very bright particles or fragments or something that go drifting by as we maneuver. The control center says, Roger, understood. Another astronaut says, there's a whole bunch of big ones on my window down there, just bright. It looks like the 4th of July out of Ron's window.
Now, again, this is, of course, if you believe in the moon landing in the first place, okay? If you believe in, the space program and you're a big lunar cuck, so to speak. Hey, there's some weird lights outside of my window when I'm outside of Earth's atmosphere and I'm next to the moon. That's crazy. Wow, what are these lights? This is strange. What is going on here? This is very weird. Must be an alien.
Another astronaut says, yes, now you can see some of them in shape. They're very jagged, angular fragments that are tumbling. This exchange has long been dismissed as floating insulation. But now the White House is saying, while this photo has been previously released and discussed by keen observers, there is no consensus about the nature of the anomaly. And this all started, of course, because we asked the president about it in February.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know.
Barack Obama said they're aliens. So you believe him? Listen, I love the I do love the people who are really into UFOs, right? Because they have to be of one of two minds. The government is lying to you about everything. They're hiding the truth. The truth is out there. You know, those type of guys. That's usually who they are. But on the same time, anytime the government feeds them any information about UFOs, they like lose their mind, as if they don't also believe that the government has been lying to them the entire time. So they trust the word of liars because they feed them, you know, crumbs of something that they're interested in, right?
The aliens are real. Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Well, he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it.
So the government is trying to answer the question, do aliens exist? And the answer is they don't know, but in an effort of transparency.
This is literally, hey, take a look at the flashing lights, kids. Like, please be distracted. Hey, I know gas is $5 a gallon. I know potatoes have gone up 500% in Europe over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I know that there's like wars in places and there's going to be shortages of food soon enough. And there's like this virus thing going on over there. But listen, okay, please obsess over the blinking lights over Greece and Iraq in 2022. This is of the utmost concern. This is a pressing matter. Please concern yourself with the flashing lights.
Giving us all of the material that they are working with as they try to answer that question.
All right.
To you,
Peter, so many questions. The internet has been ablaze about this for a long time. And one of the things that the unidentified anomalous phenomena people want to know.
Yeah, it's a distraction from the real aliens. That's a good point, Big Bean. He says there's 10,000 aliens in my town right now. Yes, the fake and gay aliens are the extraterrestrials, okay? The real aliens have been with us all along, and they're actually a much more pressing concern to your day-to-day life. For instance, you know, if you're preparing to destroy the Zorponians or whatever as they come to annihilate or to colonize Earth, probably not that much use of preparing for that sort of conflict, right? But maybe, you know, eradicating your local real aliens that actually exist and can hurt you and, you know, affect every aspect of your life in a negative way, preparing for some sort of future conflict with them makes a lot more sense. This is probably much more utilitarian way of going about things. Just my opinion. Just my opinion.
Is what the government has collected from belief that these things crashed. There was crash retrieval and that we have some sort of evidence. Is there anything in this batch of released files?
Yeah, anytime something crashes and there's a big government rush to go get it, it's probably because it was ours and it was a secret, right? So it's like, imagine them doing, and I totally believe in weird, wacky technology that exists out there, but I don't think any of it's extraterrestrial. If it's something supernatural, then it's demonic, right? That's my simple opinion. Okay, all this stuff is fake and gay. But anytime there's like a crash or there's like a big government cover up, it's because we lost one of our experimental aircraft, right? Or we lost one of our weird, wacky drones or our weird, wacky new tech that just came out, and we are recovering it and trying to keep it a secret, right? That's all this stuff is. It is still a government cover-up, so the conspiracy theorists are right about that. And I don't say conspiracy theorist as a negative thing. I tend to be a little bit conspiracy-minded. But, you know, any of this sort of like alien craft recovery, it's like, no, it's just government tech they don't want you to know about.
That would answer that question.
There's nothing in this batch, but we've been told that this is about to become a regular thing because there are hundreds of documents and dozens of pieces of media, videos and photos that are contained on this drive that has just been uploaded to the new website, which is war.gov.
I mean, Jeremy Mercher says, or rediscovering ancient tech. I think that's fine. Possible, right? I'm open to that. Okay. There's some really funny conspiracy theories out there. like I mean, mud floods or Tataria or some really ancient, like Atlantis conspiracies that are fun to think about. So I mean, there's some possibility that we've lost a lot of technology along the way. Maybe certain biblical events had a hand in that, so to speak.
UFO. There is nothing like that in this batch, but they are going through and they are working to declassify whatever they can because President Trump told them.
I love this image. They're like, no, look on this picture here with the lights in the background. Isn't that crazy? And I'm like, any retard with access to Grok could make this image in about 4 seconds. It's like, take any grainy 1960s space photo and add like the most blurry glowing artifacts in the background. It's nothing. It's so boring. Look at these 3 lights in a weird pattern out in the distance. That must be a heckin' alien spacecraft. Like, again, we'll talk about it, but I don't get the logic there. Like, what are, for instance, let's say, okay, yes, that is a real spacecraft that is hovering over there, just observing humans on the moon because it's curious, I guess. Like, what possible utility do the aliens have from observing us in a way where we can see them, right? Because if you like, what is it that they're actually looking at? Well, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. There's not even really a good theory about any of that. It's just like lights on a background. That's crazy.
And this is different than when he ordered the Kennedy files to be unclassified and just put everything out all at once. It was.
Yeah, again, it's like, look at two black dots on a thermal imager. That's crazy. Whoa, what could it mean? Nobody has any idea. Like, it could be literally fake, or it could be like, 2 hotspots of whatever it is, afterburners, drones. Who knows? But it's not. Jumping to aliens doesn't add any sort of utility to the conversation. It's just nonsense, right? Now, talking about the JFK files, I would like to know who actually was behind his assassination and the cover-up and everything else that was a little strange with that. So listen, okay, they'll give you the JFK UFO files because that's what we really want. That's really useful to us, but they won't tell us that Israel had him killed for checking into their nuclear program. It's like, thanks, I guess. Those were the JFK files I wanted. Thank you.
Millions of pages, a huge file. This is going to come out bit by bit as they work through. And you look, we've got some stuff from Apollo 17. We've got some stuff from a couple months ago. There's a ton of material.
Isn't that just literally a helicopter on screen? Why are we zooming in on the obvious helicopter? Am I crazy? Like, isn't that just obviously a helicopter? Why are we zooming in on this declassified photo as if that isn't like obviously a helicopter? Right? Like, how could that possibly be anything other than a helicopter? No, it's a UFO, Italian saucer. Italian sausage? No, Italian saucer. What? A space helicopter. There we go. Thank you, Carver. Yes. Oh, actually, that's true. Who was the chopper in the first Transformers movie? Was it Shockwave? No, it wasn't Shockwave. Who was it? Could be, though. It's true. Transformers are indeed aliens, and a couple of them have been helicopters historically. So we never know. You never know.
But they want us to know that they are trying to figure this out. They just don't have an answer about whether or not, about what these crafts are.
Peter, what do you think? You're a betting person.
This one came out like years ago, and I've had, if you go look, CW Lemoyne has done videos on some of the UFOs and UAPs that the military has released. And his intuition is like, he doesn't know what these are, but they seem like drones or other sort of, very normal mechanical devices that just leave a heat signature, right? And there are definitely some of them strange that like move faster than others. But again, that would just be like normal human tech that's like more advanced than we're publicly acknowledging, right? So nothing's insane as far as I can tell.
Do you think these aliens are friendly? Should we approach them? What do you suggest if we see them?
Are the aliens friendly? Okay, the only type of aliens I'm interested in is the Mass Effect aliens for reasons. Okay, if the only alien I'm approaching is a is a very specific type of alien. Okay, not interested in the gray ones. I'm more interested in the blue ones. Okay, the blue ones are kind of more my thing.
You know, you hope that they're friendly. I see a lot of people here at the White House, and I think that looks like it might be an alien. And everybody is pretty nice.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll see where they go. So
people are fascinated with this. Sean just did a podcast about this, the investigation of Bob Lazar, who talks about S4, and so many people are watching it. It's fascinating. But does this pose a national security risk, our adversaries? Because the concern is revealing.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's always just these really small, like at best, what would these possibly be? Some sort of like extraterrestrial drone that's collecting like, you know, atmospheric data, maybe a water sample, maybe a soil sample, maybe they're cataloging the different species on Earth, and they're just zipping around at warp speed, and by warp speed I mean like 40 miles an hour over over the water. It's like, it's not really that exciting, is it?
Military capabilities to our adversaries like China and to Russia.
Well, that's exactly it. We don't know what these things are. But so as a reporter in D.C. in the past 2 years, I've covered the House committee. Remember, they have a UAP committee headed up by Paulina Luna, as well as Congressman Tim Burchett. And both of those two have really been forthcoming in the media in recent weeks, saying that it's going to be shocking. Luna saying that she's seen things that are not.
Paulina Luna, is that the girl's name? Isn't that the Trump lawyer? Isn't her like one accolade in life is that she's kind of hot and Trump likes her because she's kind of hot? Isn't that her entire like skill level? Isn't that her entire, like all of her accolades are like generic hot lady who has a law degree? Isn't that it? Paulina Luna, is that the one? Yeah, things are gonna be crazy. Take it from this bimbo with a law degree. Things are going to be crazy soon. Okay, the experts here, bimbo with a law degree. You're thinking of Alina Habba. Okay, I don't know which one Paula Luna is. I don't keep up with these people.
Human, but she can't explain. It's classified. She can't say it, and so it's only whetted the appetite of people that want to, talk about it. But one thing's for sure is that with that committee, particularly with whistleblowers, you've had a number of pilots and Navy captains that have seen things and recorded things, and that's the stuff that they want out.
Right. It got Burchett onto Joe Rogan's podcast because he said, "Oh, that's crazy stuff."
And Brian, don't call them UFOs anymore.
What do they call?
They're UAPs.
Okay, my bad.
Be sure to.
I don't know why they're.
I'm back at my desk.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Jeez. What is this? What am I getting jump scared here with this semi-fruity looking lawyer? No, I don't care about any of this nonsense. However, there is still some funny stuff. Funny stuff coming out of this, which we'll get to, okay? Pentagon releases dozens of UFO files offering transparency on alien and extraterrestrial life. The War Department released more than 160 files, which is like, again, grainy footage and like still images of basically nothing. Related to sightings of UFOs dating back nearly 80 years. 2 days after President Donald Trump predicted, I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. The disclosure of 162 files by the Pentagon follows a presidential order from February calling for transparency around alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, and unidentified flying objects. And the American people can now access the federal government's declassified UAP files instantly. The latest UAP photos, videos, and original source documents from across the entire United States government are all in one place with no clearance required. Again, it's like, here's an image of a blurb. Like, you guys know the blurb, right? The blurb is like really important. If you guys don't know about the blurb, you're not going to make it. Here's the blurb. This one, how about the composite sketch of an actual site photo with FBI lab rendered graphic overlay depicting corroborating eyewitness reports from September 2023 of an apparent ellipsoid bronze metallic object hovering over a field. Okay. All right. Here is a obvious, as they admit, a computer-generated image of a blue bronze ellipsoid just hanging out, corroborated by multiple eyewitnesses. again, like, even if it's real, like, in my paradigm, it would just be like some sort of, demon or some sort of future tech that the US government has not acknowledged publicly, right? Like, anti-grav stuff goes back to before World War II, right? And then these people trying to master it and figure it out. And there's all sorts of documents and stuff on that. So, I mean, if it's just American tech that we're not releasing publicly, it's like, that's interesting. But we already know that there's a million things that the US government is lying about. This is just another episode of that. Here is the, again, very important, and this is also insanely blown up, right? So an archival image of the Apollo 17 mission to the moon in 1972 with the upper right insert showing 3 visible lights above the lunar terrain at Department of War. So I guess what they're saying is that there was a extraterrestrial spacecraft just hanging out on the surface of the moon. Like, oh, what are humans doing here? That's so weird. That's so quaint. As if that's not just, part and parcel with 1970s camera technology or added in post, or just, it's just useless information. Even if real, there's a million other explanations before, some Zorpsian spacecraft from 16 gorillion light years away just happened to be on the moon watching humans walk about awkwardly, if you even believe in the moon in the first place. U.S. military operator reported a UAP while operating within the African airspace in 2025. I think this is just Yakubian tech. If I had to take a random guess, I imagine this. What are we even looking at? A dot? We're looking at this small dot on the screen. Like, that's definitely Yakub right there. That's a Yakubian vessel, way ahead of whatever we have here or Wakanda as well. Could have been Wakandan technology. Can't count that out. U.S. military. This is the one over Greece. Wow, that's crazy. We have a heat signature flying over the water around an island in Greece. That's crazy. What could possibly produce a heat signature flying around? That's wild. Here we have a still from a video U.S. military operator reported featuring UAP flying across the Middle East in May 2022. And again, I mean, we've used unofficial technology in military theaters before. Absolutely. I mean, this has happened amongst every war that we've been in since the World War II, basically, that we absolutely test technology in war zones where we don't officially even have that technology yet. Absolutely, that happens every single time. It's like people reported spotting that stupid unmanned drone that technically is not in service yet, but they've seen it flying about in war zones around the world. It's like, obviously they're just function testing their craft. Here's another random blurb that is, again, if you don't know about the blurb, you're not going to make it. Heat signature from a zillion miles away. Here we have the black dot. Very important black dot. All right. And yeah, very exciting. Aren't you guys all very excited about the new technology? Now, I do have to warn you guys, okay? The next image is going to blow your mind, but this is actually real. One of the few things to come out from all of the UAP disclosures and UFOs and stuff is this image has now been verified as real. This is a real historical image, and I know some of you guys are a little bit scared right now seeing the 4-foot gray man next to, I'm not sure who that is on the right, but this is a real image. This is a verified true image according to the new FBI documents. Okay, that's real. It's not edited. That's real. The FBI received tip, like that guy was trying to show his tip in the lobby the other day. FBI received tip that Nazis built secret UFO craft bombshell. Declassified documents reveal. Declassified FBI documents reveal the Nazis might have had secret UFO-like crafts. And again, this is like we knew about the hovercraft and the anti-grav technology that they were looking into like years and years ago. Come on. The U.S. government, at the direction of President Donald Trump, dropped a goldmine of UFO files early Friday morning. As a UFO enthusiast, impossible not to be at this point. Okay, that's very Reddit coded. I immediately dived in and uncovered a gem. We'll see about that. The possible of an existence of a Nazi UFO in 1944. The documents released to the public on Friday included multiple pages concerning a tip. Hey, it's that guy again. Do you guys know this guy? He's in the... That's the same guy over here, I'm pretty sure. That's the same dude. Huh, I wonder what happened to that guy. FBI received tip about possible Nazi UFO program. The documents released to the public on Friday included multiple pages concerning a tip about a possible Nazi UFO craft. The Nazis were obsessed with advanced weapons programs during the war, including what some might consider wonder weapons. Weapons so powerful that they could change the tide of the war. Of course, the super weapons failed to be produced at a high enough level to have any serious impact, but that didn't mean the Nazis didn't try. The FBI documents a man named Paul Perl handed over information that claimed the Nazis built the craft in 1944 in the Black Forest of Austria. Why do they got to be racially named forests? Come on. All right. During this period, he observed the aircraft described above. It was saucer-shaped, about 21 feet in diameter, radio-controlled, and mounted several jet engines around the exterior portion of the craft. He further described the exterior portion as revolving around the dome in the center, which remained stationary. It was Perel's responsibility to photograph the object while in flight. He asserted he was able to retain a negative of the photograph he made at 7,000 meters. A Xerox copy of the negative, as furnished by Perel, appears on the last page of this communication. Also, a still photograph he allegedly made at the risk of my life, illustrating the object parked in a hangar, appears on the very last page, according to Perel. The above craft was designed and engineered by first name unknown Kür, a German engineer whose present whereabouts is unknown to him. He assumed Kür was taken into custody by Allied forces, Operation Paperclip, upon the termination of hostilities. Perel stated Kür unsuccessfully attempted to avoid the German draft, but was apprehended by the Gestapo. So the UFO clues emerge in decades-old images showing a strange bursts over nuclear testing sites. Sure. Let me see. Do they actually show the picture in here? Because the images have been out there for a while. If you just look into Nazi UFO, you can probably find the actual images pretty easy. Yeah. Where's the actual picture though? I want to see the actual picture to show you guys. And I mean, it really is. It's just a UFO. It's the classic saucer, right? I mean, here we go. Right. I mean, that's kind of what everybody's talking about. The classic one. It's real, okay? The only good thing to come out of all of this nonsense is the obvious, very, very real photo of the little gray man and the other dude. I think that's the title of this image. The gray man and the other dude. But that's about what we got on the UFO stuff. Very fake, very gay, not particularly interesting. Now, what is also gay, and we're only halfway through the boomer slot maxing, okay? So hold on to your pants. We have the Hantavirus, okay? Very scary. You should be very worried. It's definitely going to be COVID 2.0, but 271 times worse or something like that, at least according to the totally real information coming out of all these sources. Now, noted individual on this channel, Nate Valhalla VFT, put out a video yesterday saying this is not a test. Emergency. Prepare your family now. That might as well be a trench grenade thumbnail. I mean, come on. Panic now. The shutdown is coming, okay? It's literally going to end life as we know it because there's been a few cases of this virus going around that is allegedly very, very scary, okay? And of course, the predictive programming back in the day, like people were talking about it in 2012. It was on the X-Files 20 plus years ago, talking about the Hantavirus, which, by the way, is not usually human transmissible, but somehow in the last, couple of decades through gain of function research, it now is apparently human transmissible. Thanks, Fauci. Thanks, all of these scientists, guys. I think Pol Pot might have had a point when he went around and just killed all of the intellectuals, right? At a certain point, we have enough. I don't think we need any more advanced medicine. I don't think we need these, people, quote unquote, ruining our lives and potentially leading us into a new apocalypse. I think we should just, if you're wearing glasses, take mine off for a moment. If you're wearing glasses, we just kill you, okay? Cambodian killing fields 2.0. I think that'll solve a lot of our problems. But this is the funny one that kind of blew up, where this guy 2 years ago, back in 2022, says 2023 Corona ended, 2026 Hantavirus. Now, this random account, this soothsayer, quote unquote, just pulling it out of his butt and calling it 3 years ago, 4 years ago now at this point, almost to the dot 4 years ago. Hmm. Somebody's letting us in on a joke. Okay, there's some sort of really funny inside joke that's going on. It's probably a club that we're not a part of, but it started on a cruise ship because cruise ships are disgusting and allegedly they were exposed very naturally. Yes, this very worldwide, very diverse cruise ship, they were exposed accidentally, I'm sure, to rodent droppings that carried the hantavirus that then all these people just immediately went and spread to all of their, home nations. And of course, it was a global cruise. So there was like 150 different people from 80 different nations on this ship. So very nice. Nearly 40 cruise passengers exposed to a deadly virus may have already scattered across the globe. Of course. As authorities scrambled to track them down, dozens left the MV Hondius ship without contact tracing after the hantavirus outbreak that's already killed at least 3 people. The World Health Organization warns that while human-to-human transfer is uncommon, that's good to know, it's still possible. Health agencies are now racing to locate the passengers across multiple continents before more cases emerge. So this has been popping up everywhere, at least in my feed. Like, this seems to be the new scare. This seems to be the new, like, what's going to happen? We don't exactly know. And then they're throwing out numbers like this virus has a 40% kill rate. This virus has a 35% kill rate. It's, 300 times more deadly than COVID. And I've seen, the usual lefty types being like, listen, if we see you without a mask on in public, we're just going to shoot you this time. Like, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay. If you don't listen to our lockdowns this time, we're going to kill you. All right. This is the new fakeness, the new gayness. Very, very exciting. I'm so excited that the new gayness has come out, and it's called the Hantavirus.
That deadly cruise ship hantavirus outbreak, Spain's Secretary of Health says the United States agreed to send a plane to Europe to bring back Americans stuck on that cruise ship that really is at the center of a nationwide and an international story, and that's a hantavirus outbreak, a deadly one at that. So earlier this week, 3 passengers confirmed dead. 3 others suspected of infection left the MV Hondius near Cape Verde. The ship and nearly 150 people on board now head towards Spain's Canary Islands, where that vessel drops anchor. They're going to do it offshore, they say, to reduce contagion risk. At least a dozen countries now trace and monitor nearly 30 passengers who left the ship during early.
I mean, look at that. It's so funny, right? This African cruise ship, which sounds like hell, right? Doesn't an African cruise ship just sound like hell? And this is like the story of every zombie outbreak game and movie ever, right? It's like, oh, wow, this random virus from Africa or South America just happened to get into a cruise ship, and then they all just went back to their population centers. That's crazy. That's wild. And in this case, it's like, obviously modified to actually allow human to human transfer, which was, I guess, the problem with the hantavirus originally, is it just had a very low possibility of even transferring from human to human. Like, it was very rare. Like, you had to be around people for a super long period of time or have direct contact, or like, transmission of fluids, whatever that may be, right, to actually transfer the virus. But now apparently you can just get it by being in close proximity. I've heard this one before.
Port stops before leaders were able to confirm the outbreak. 2 British nationals tested positive for the virus, with a 3rd case suspected. So let's talk about the picture here in the United States. Health leaders in Arizona.
But let's see here, though, gents. Like, let's be real. Let's take the worst case projection, okay? If it actually does have a 35 to 40% kill rate, if it is highly transmissible among humans, you guys may see this as like a downside, and this is terrifying. But, for those of us who don't live in a population center, this is a giant opportunity, okay? And I think for their safety, I think that we need to emigrate, all those people who have contracted the virus to Nigeria, or I'm not sure, maybe South America, maybe some of these other places. I think that that's a good place for these people to rest and recover, get a lot of sunshine. It's warmer weather. So we'll just send all of them down there. I think that's good. I think it's a good idea.
Virginia, Georgia, Texas, and California, they monitor passengers.
Well, here's the thing. This is a really sad statistic. So Chachi McFlex says we should send them to India. However, the problem with India is even if it has a 35% kill rate and you send this virus to India, you're still left with 1 billion Indians. Terrifying thought, right? Even if it has a 35% kill rate, you're still left with 1 billion Indians
who came off the ship. Each state reports no signs of illness so far. Still, though, this is starting to dominate and percolate a lot of the conversation on my social media feed. And we know Tom Hansen, CBS News correspondent, is also seeing this story. Tom, this story is getting bigger by the minute. There are reports from ABC echoed all over the internet that the Centers for Disease Control is now classifying this outbreak as a...
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't start in a place like India because apparently it needs to, it gets, I guess, started in rodent feces. And I mean, like, how can you even tell the difference? Like, it really unclean places. So I figure like India would be a literal breeding ground for viruses like this, right? Like, obviously.
Level 3 emergency response. So what specifically does that mean, level 3?
Reed, that's a great question. And actually, as it happens, I have the sheet right here, the diagram. So basically, a level 3 is the lowest level that the CDC has. Essentially, they are monitoring this, the spread of this virus. They are allocating some staff from the CDC's Emergency Operations Center who may assist in any sort of response. And then essentially, it's a wait and see. So level 2 is ramped up a little bit. And then level 1 is the highest level of response reserved for critical emergencies. Think COVID-19 becoming a global pandemic. That would be a level.
He's probably is a level 1 guy. He wouldn't get it.
1. One of the reasons that health experts aren't terribly concerned about this, they're monitoring it, they're taking it very seriously, but they're not overly concerned is because of the transmission of this virus. We know that this virus is incredibly difficult to spread on a wide scale. As we've mentioned, Dr. John LaPook, Dr. Celine Gounder have said that this is not a pandemic causing virus. That's because even in this strain, this Andes strain, which transmits from person to person, it is incredibly difficult to spread. There are instances where people have slept in the same bed, for example, one person positive, the other person never ends up getting the virus. And that's because you have to be in close proximity for a prolonged period of time, maybe breathing the same air very closely together.
Right. So this guy actually seems a lot more reasonable than everybody else that's panicking. Because again, like Valhalla VFT posting this yesterday and very vague posting about it. Like, this is not a test emergency. Prepare your family now. And he, in this video, he's literally like, you need to have food. You need to have water. You need to have gas. All good things to have, by the way, right? All good things to have in general. You don't need a pandemic to have some extra food, water, and gas on hand, right? Pretty self-explanatory there, but acting like this virus is going to be the one, this is the, you know, the new lockdown killer 2.0 happens to come out in election year, I think is silly. I think this is fake and gay. I think it's just another distraction, just like the Nazi UFO nonsense. Okay. I don't think that, spoiler alert, I don't think that this image is very real. And I don't think that the hype or the panic around the Hantavirus is justified either. I mean, you heard the same sort of rhetoric like a decade ago or more than a decade ago now about Ebola, right? Remember when people were freaking out about that and then it died in the news like 2 weeks later, right? And this is just another one of those things. Sure, it might have a higher mortality rating for people who are around disgusting filth, but if you're, you know, a normal human and you're not around these types of people, then you're not going to contract these types of viruses. And it seems to be difficult to transmit human to human. Not saying that that couldn't change, you know, if it does turn out that this was, they were softballing it, right? To be like, well, you know, it can't really transmit human to human. Everybody lowers their, you know, fear level. And then it turns out, well, actually, there's this totally new, not bioengineered strain that is really easy to transmit from person to person. Whoopsie doopsie. Now we're totally into FEMA camps for all. Okay.
Together, or exchanging, saliva, things like that, for this disease to spread. Now, the other parts of the hantavirus, the other many strains of the hantavirus, typically are spread through inhalation of particles that come from the rodents in that particular region. We're talking about fecal matter, we're talking about urine, we're talking about saliva from rodents. So generally speaking, most hantaviruses do not spread from person to person. They only spread from close proximity to that DNA material from rodents. So overall, this is not something that needs to be maximum alarm bells sounded. However, it is particularly concerning, I will say, given those 30 passengers who got off of the cruise ship early from St. Helena. They, as you mentioned.
Also, I just have to say, like, cruises just sound awful, don't they? Like, even high-end cruises like seem pretty miserable. Like, you're trapped on like a mobile amusement park with loud people, even on the nicer ones, right? And it's like you just do the same thing over and over again for like a week or 2 weeks. And then like underneath that, you have all the really awful ones. Like, this looks like a terrible place to be. This looks horrible. Imagine being cooped up on here, not only for your normal trip, but these people have been stuck on this boat for a while now. Sounds awful. Not to mention, Carnival Cruise and a few other ones. It was a gay cruise. I mean, listen, all cruises are a gay cruise if the right clientele is aboard, okay? Or the wrong clientele is aboard. Yeah, this looks awful. This looks miserable. No, thank you. No, thank you. It's a very boomer thing. Yeah. I mean, would I go on a cruise to like, I don't know, Alaska or something if I was going to a place where I could then do things? Like, maybe. But just like sitting on a boat for an extended period of time seems pretty boring. I don't like that.
In that map are from at least 12 countries. Those 6 Americans, of course, are being closely monitored. And there's a coordinated response here. The CDC is not only working.
Yeah, cruise is basically a hotel in a small park, amusement park on a boat, literally go to a resort island. I mean, that sounds like more fun to just be at a place where you can actually do things, Because like if you're on an island or, Hawaii or some of these other places, at least you can go to other places and do other things. You're not trapped on like 4 decks. That doesn't sound like particular very, very fun. But okay, we're gonna get to your guys' support. That is the Hantavirus. Fake and gay, not very interesting. In this case, it might be literally gay, right? Fake and gay. UFO stuff, also fake and gay, not really that interesting. Don't care. It's not real. It's a distraction from Iran, Epstein files, and all the other menagerie of things that are much more pertinent to the average American. All right, starting out over on Ko-Fi, Gideon becomes a Ko-Fi caffeine creep. Appreciate that. I am going to drop another link, the Discord link, to the YouTube live chat. I don't do this very often. YouTube live chat and to the Rumble chat, okay? But the only way to get in is to be a Ko-Fi member, a Subscribe Star member, a Rumble member, or something like that, because we're trying to, we're gatekeeping. We don't want the Discord to be a Carnival Cruise, okay? We need high-end clientele, okay? So you kind of gotta pay to get in. Josh Howard for 5 says, sick do, bro. Yeah, I know. I've been bald before. I actually, one of the earliest gun videos I ever made on the channel, I think it's unlisted, is also bald. I've been bald. I was bald in college when I did a Maverick 88 review, I want to say, or some sort of shotgun, like a Stevens 320 or something like that back in the day. I think it's unlisted now, but one of my first gun videos ever on the channel was bald. So Bardic Psycho for $20. You get the new one, dude.
Get the fuck out.
Thank you. Thank you, Hop. I appreciate that very much. Subartic Psycho for $20 says, John, I did tell you to shave your head because I thought it'd be funny. Now that you've actually done it, I've changed my mind. For the love of all that is holy, grow it back. You look terrible, damn it. Fine. What are you talking about? I've been bald before. I'm not worried about it. Waifu's enslaved Jimmy's unrustled for 5 says haircut looks good. Can you have your food? Send me a sample of the clippings when you have a chance. Right. Drain Pipe for 3 says nice chrome dome, John. Christ is king. Christ is king. Thank you very much. Subartic Noticer for $14.88. Funny number. Says a very special birthday shout out to my sweetest boy, my apprentice Dylan. He's based, J-pilled, married, and makes us all so proud. Well, happy birthday to apprentice Dylan. He's building his first AR, and it's a BCM upper. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, John. Give my sweet boy something funny for when I send him this clip. Hulk Hogan, brother. That's right. Yes, HH, brother. I agree. Here you go.
This is a retarded take.
I'm kind of retarded.
Thank you, Subarctic Noticer. Much appreciated, young man. All right. And Waifu's enslaved Jimmy's on Russell for another 3. Says the last message was supposed to say foid, not food. LMAO. Get your food would be nasty. All right. Thank you, Waifu's enslaved. Afghanistan for 5 says, how many BTMs I got to buy for the Discord invite? Just one. Just one BTM per invite. Logan sucks at shooting for 17 months. It's a long time we've been together, Logan. Based thumbnail. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Logan. Zanico for 5 says, I apologize to all my fans, but I will be a little late tonight. That's okay. That's right. Thank you, Zany. Cody Fisher drops the cross for 10. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Crisis King. Hope you're having a good night out there, Cody. Thank you. Lightsport for 2 says, ASMR time, baby. For $2, I really should charge more for this. It is weird, right? When the
bald guy with a beard is talking to you in the ASMR mommy voice. But you know what? For some of you, I'm sure that it's...
Thank you, Lightsport. Appreciate it. Donzel T becomes a new channel member, and then he becomes a new channel member again. So thank you for the 2 channel memberships, or the accidentally doubled channel membership. So thank you, Donzel T. I appreciate that. Boogie Down Syndrome, member for 4 months, says, is this Napa timed man on time-ish for once? Yeah, I was only like 3 minutes late. Why is everybody so upset? Coral Weezer for 2 says, skinhead. Thank you, Coral Weezer. Thank you, Yakub. I appreciate it. I'm one of your top creations, dog. Zanico for 5 says, I did not approve of this. It's not what I meant when I said get a haircut. I gotta be real, dude. That was like the longest my hair has been since I was like 14 years old. It was very obnoxious. Very, very obnoxious. So on a whim, last night, I started to shave my head. Feels cold in here now. Does anyone feel a draft? Thank you, Zanico. Sean Weiland for 2 says, aliens are actually demons. Yes, correct. Yes, demons, psyop, or technology that the government doesn't want you to know that they have. Lightsport for 2 says, ew, the fuck did you do to hair, John? Listen, okay, if you guys are going to be this concerned about my hair, I'm just going to talk
this voice the entire time. If you guys really care about my hair, it's fine. Just the entire time I'm going to be talking like this. Thank you, Lightsport. Polly B for 5 says, praying for your widow's peak, John. May it hold the line as Spartans at Thermopylae, yes?
Again, it's like, I don't particularly care. Like, if my hair goes bad, I know I'm pulling a Grantham right now. I just shave it off. Like, I don't care. Thank you, Polly B. Appreciate that. Tonducks for 2 says, Pastor Manning based, but no bald as Eagles, please. Yeah, no bald Eagles. All right, Thickhawk 45 becomes a new channel member. Appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Dill Weed for 5 says, no one worry if John holds his breath, his hair will come out of his head like Play-Doh. That's good. It'd be a funny animation. Thank you, Dill Weed. Everyday American for 2 says, Trump doesn't have an opinion on anything. Nothing important. You know, he does like to kind of toe the line. It's funny because there's some things where he's so outspoken about, right? Just obviously and maybe even obnoxiously so. However, there are also times where he's just like, oh, wow, I don't know. That's like crazy. You're telling me now for the first time, right? I've never heard that before. You tell me for the first time. Thank you, Everyday American. Everyday American for another 5 says, it's good cop, bad cop. Republicans do all the bad stuff. Dems shout about how evil it is. Dems win, and none of that stuff gets walked back. Thank you, Everyday American. Amorite Boy for 2 says, we'll catch the VOD. Fatherhood calls today. Well, that's very based of you, Amorite Boy. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good night out there. Slim for 5 says, can't stay. Just wanted to say TND, TKD, and total alien death. UFOs are Jewish, fake and gay, redundant, and highly Indian coded. Good night, gents. All right. Good to know. Thank you, Slim. Appreciate that. I mean, I find like some of the technology interesting, right? Like think about like the weird and wacky things that, you know, Skunkworks has been up to over the last 3 decades, like the weird prototypes and the silly technology that they've tried to get working. Like some of it has got to be interesting. So on like a technical level, I think that stuff is interesting. Is it like, oh my gosh, the Zorpians are coming to invade us from Garangalong? No, I don't care. Everyday American for 5 says, what do we all think about Nick Fuentes? More and more, I think that dude is a half-breed twink, government bot. Feel like his 15 minutes of fame has faded. No, I have noticed a direct uptick over the last, like, really 2 weeks of Nick has decided to go down a different path, especially when it comes to Ohio. This seems to be a fork in the road for a lot of people and even a lot of his supporters. And he's in the public consciousness. He had the big podcast tour a while ago, which definitely catapulted him into the public eye more so than he already was. So I think it's an interesting conversation. Now, again, tomorrow we are going to have on Atlas Thugged and Tom Foe, both of whom are not grifters. My apologies. Both of whom are groypers. All right. And then we're also going to have myself and Rhetorically Defective, who are both not groypers, on the panel talking about politics. So I imagine this conversation will come up in depth tomorrow. Thank you, Everyday American. Logan Sucks at Shooting for 5 says, I know I could count on Big H to bring us the truth. Yes, Big H. He's they call him a monster. They say he started all these wars, but I mean, he was hanging out with this little green alien guy, or gray alien guy, right? They're not green, they're gray. And I think he did a good job. Honestly, probably one of the best ambassadors we could have hoped for. Zanico for 2 says, I've seen this one. Gwyneth Paltrow cheated on Matt Damon. Oh, really? Poor Matt Damon. I say that as if he's not some disgusting psychopath worth like $30 million. Zanico for 2 says, John, I'll trade you ivermectin for that Leopold Mark IV. The scope behind me is an Arkin. You probably don't want that one. Thank you, Zanico. Appreciate that. Graham Bergdorf for 5 says, happy Friday, guys. Been a while since I could catch a live show. Oh boy, John is the embodiment of Agent 47 tonight. Keep up the good work. Christ is king. Christ is king. Thank you very much. I have a beard. I have to shave my beard all the way to be the real Agent 47. Thank you, Graham Bergdorf. Graham Bergdorf for another 2 says, just got my first AK. Any optics recommendations? I have 4 ARs. Yeah, so sell the AK for, let's say, $700-800, and then you can buy a Sig Romeo 8T to put on one of those ARs. Thank you, Graham Bergdorf. Actually, real talk, though, I do have a Holosun ARO Evo on my Wasser right now, and that's what I'm going to be testing this weekend, I think. Thank you, Dick Cheney. Appreciate that. Or Bergdorf. Dick Cheney's Heart, member for 7 months, says, great haircut, very American History X. That's right. Oh. Right. Thank you, Dick Cheney's Heart. Appreciate that. Kyle Sears for 2 says, got a PDP steel frame for cheap. What's your thoughts on them? Well, considering I have like 2 Canik Rival S's, which are essentially like budget PDP steels, they're fine guns. They're fine. They're fine. They're not everybody's cup of tea because they're not like the softest shooting guns out there, but I think they're fine. You'll be okay with it, especially if you got a good deal on it, man. Who cares? Buy Sugar Bee Apples, member for 7 months, says, as a Norwood ninja, I feel seen. That's right. Norwood ninjas. That's what they're calling them these days, huh? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, now let's get into gun news. I know we did it backwards today. We're starting out with the real normie slop, and then we're getting into the true hard-hitting gun news. And take a minute to look at this cringe, will you? Okay, they decided, wherever the article, whatever news organization this is, they decided to post cringe on Maine. So here we have gay tranny man, just in case, gun ownership in a polarized America, and he's wearing a shirt, if you don't notice, that says, why do you need a 30-round magazine, ? And it's a bunch of shot up KKK members. Now, there's so many points of irony just in this photo. So, of course, you have a gay man on the cover having a shirt that's, showing him ostensibly shooting up the KKK. Now, the KKK, obvious, evil, hateful organization or whatnot, they killed like 3,000 black people over a century. That's crazy. Black people kill that amount of black people in 3 months, in 4 months. So it's like, if you really want to take out the people killing black people, you have to kill to stop black people from killing black people, I'm going to kill all the Anyways, also ironic that the shirt, right, says I need a 30-round mag to kill people. Very transcoded. At the same time, he has California compliant ARs with 10-round magazines, right? So why do you need a 30-round magazine while having California compliant 10-round magazines with neutered guns? It's just a little awkward, right? It's the most, as this guy says, I have no personality and I must LARP. This guy's LARPing as a real gun nerd, okay? You think you could last a minute on GunTube for you think you could do what I do? You think you could walk a mile in my shoes, bro? Okay, you wouldn't make it a minute out here, okay? There are real nerds in the chat. Yeah, the irony of a 30-round mag shirt with a 10-rounder in California compliant weapons. Ironic, since minorities are the ones committing an extremely disproportionately high amount of violent gun crimes. Correct. Blacks and browns account for 80% of all gun violence in America. Blacks and browns. All right. Well, how about the article, though? So as the threat of political violence becomes increasingly more realistic, the threat of political violence, my fellow man, whom is committing all of the political violence, whom is attempting to assassinate, quote unquote, right-wing politicians, whom is committing all of this heckin' violence. Threat of political violence. My dude, you are the political violence. What are you talking about? As you're wearing a shirt that's just like murdering Klansmen, because that's like heckin' wholesome or something, I guess. Why is the temperature so high? Why is everyone at each other's throats? I just can't get it. Charlie Kirk got shot. Lol. All right, bud. A little bit more realistic, exacerbated by an intense political climate. New and longtime gun owners are changing how they think about their own personal safety. Read, just in case, gun ownership in a polarized America. Unfortunately, I do have the article pulled up, and Redditard here, Redditard Big Soy Face over here. What's this guy's name? Ben Rubin. Rubin, huh? Let's look up the etymology of Rubin, shall we? Let's see where that name comes from. I'm just curious, okay? I'm just curious where the anti-bad guy squad leader comes from. All right. It was supposed to be like any average day, driving down the streets of Santa Rosa with her itemized grocery list and kids buckled in the backseat. But out of her peripheral vision, she notices a truck tailgating her. After several miles pass, she pulls into a store's parking lot. Moments later, she's berated at, yelled at. The reason, her bumper sticker of a cartoon cat reads, Harris Waltz. I'll take Alex. I will take things that never happened for $500. All right. Her husband, Ted, who withheld his last name due to concerns over workplace retaliation, doesn't take this incident as random aggression. To Ted, this represented a wave of extremism emboldened by the increased intensity of a polarized political climate in the U.S. In response, he bought a gun. I agree that this definitely happened. Yes, this absolutely happened. And here we have the picture of the Chad himself. A firearm owner and third-year psychology major at San Francisco State, Daniel Marnack, huh? Displays some of his collection of firearms in front of the transgender pride flag and American flag in his home in Oakland, California. Living in Oakland, California, and you think right-wing chuds are going to kill you? Bro, you're about to get killed by a gang. Let's look up the black violence numbers in Oakland, California, dog. And do you think that, like, the KKK... Listen, the KKK would unironically save you from what's actually going to kill you. That's the irony of this whole thing. He's like, he has his trans flag, and I got to protect black people. I got to kill the KKK. And the KKK would unironically save you from what's actually going to kill you. If a government agency is coming after me, nothing I can do, said Ted. But if there's individual wackos out there who see this as a presidential mandate, oh my gosh, yes, Trump is a literal fascist who is calling for the deaths of his political opposition in the streets. Yep, Trump's that guy. I wish he was, but he's not that guy, okay? As much as we like to LARP, as much as we like to joke around, Trump's not that guy. Listen, Trump's not that guy. Ted is not alone in his fears. The 2025 Pew, ironically named, Research Center study found that 85% of Americans believe politically motivated violence is increasing. From whom is always the question. From whom? There's been an increased interest in people wanting to learn how to shoot as a result of the current political climate, said Thomas Boyer, spokesperson for the San Francisco chapter of the Pink Pistols, not allowed within 500 feet of a school, by the way, a gun group whose mission is to reach the LGBTQ plus pedophile community with firearms education. In today's political landscape, gun ownership is becoming increasingly more palatable to both the right and the left. According to the Firearm Industry Trade Association, there were approximately 26.2 million new gun owners from 2020 to 2025. But a 2016 Annals of Internal Medicine study on homicide deaths among adult cohabitants of handgun owners in California found that people living in homes with guns face substantially higher risks of dying. What types of people, huh? The reality extends into San Francisco's state's own backyard. In March 2026, 22-year-old Samantha Emge, a SF State alum, was allegedly accidentally shot and killed by her boyfriend, who was later charged with involuntary manslaughter. While not an act of political violence, the incident shows that when guns are present, the results can be deadly. This is retarded. What a retarded point to try and make. He's like, political violence is on the rise. See, look, this retarded gentleman shot his girlfriend. Now, that's not political, but listen, when guns are present, bad things happen. Okay, but use that argument with anything. Like cars. When cars are present, bad things happen. When Muslims are when black Actually, you know what? I like his line of reasoning. I take it back. Gorsensky, a funny name, explained that far-right ideology that once existed on the fringes has become increasingly normalized and infused with mainstream conservative ideology. Why in the world do you think that far-right ideology has taken a hold in mainstream culture? Why in the world would you believe that? What could possibly be the reason? It's almost like, hear me out. You created Weimar conditions and did not expect Weimar solutions. Why are so many people like heckin' dissident right? What, has the system abandoned a certain group of people and forced them into political activism? That's crazy, dude. That's wild. Yes, he has the SSRI stare, as it's known. All right. For one transgender gun owner, gross, who requested anonymity for safety reasons, the current, yeah, sure, because the irony is nobody is hunting down trannies in the streets, but trannies are literally hunting down children inside of schools. For one transgender gun owner who requested anonymity for safety reasons, the current political climate has changed her view of his own personal safety. I fear how I've become far more callous with it, owning a gun in the current political climate, #JustMaleThings, than I ever wanted to. And it's likely because the world hates me so much. It's not because I hate people. It's because I feel like I've been calloused by the people around me. And so my view of defending myself has become far more absolute. He said, it scares me a little. A 2026 research study from UCLA Williams Institute found that transgender people are at a disproportionately higher risk of violence. Once again, from who? I almost never believe these studies either, because they always quote something like, transgender prostitutes in the Philippines are being hunted down and killed for fraudulent blowies and for what it should be considered rape, right? If they're, sex under false pretenses, basically, right? I wonder why these people are at such high risks of, not only diseases and mental health and a 41% fixing rate and all this other sort of stuff, but it's almost like these people are like clinically insane. It's almost like it should be on the DSM-5. For him, he is distrustful that the government will protect him. He pointed out that the police officers have no legal duty to defend you, according to a long-standing Supreme Court precedent. If cops aren't going to defend you, you got to defend you, he said. A study of protests in the U.S. from 2020 to 2021, that's a really narrow window of protests during a certain event, I'm sure, done by Indigo Kolslicki. All these people are very Jewish sounding. And published in Policing and Society, found that police were far more likely to use force during left-wing protests compared to right-wing protests. Left-wing protests shut down streets, beat people up, kill people, burn down businesses. Right-wing protesters, even the most violent right-wing protest of all time, right? What is that? January 6th or Charlottesville. Take your pick. A couple people got into some fights. The only person that died was a protester. Or Charlottesville, where that one guy, fearing for his life, drove through a crowd of people to try and get away. That guy has like a quintuple life sentence, doesn't he? You know, as like average lefty protest, 4 buildings burned down, 3 people killed, and XYZ happened. It's like, I wonder why the police response is just a little bit different for one of these events rather than the other. Even the most like evil, like what did we just watch last week? The evil heckin' racist, white supremacist, Nazi guys, their version of protesting is like going to disasters to help clean up and passing out water and bread. It's like, wow, why is the police so much more aggressive versus one of these groups than the other? That's crazy. And yes, again, Charlottesville, even though Charlottesville was basically a big nothing burger, was paid for absolutely by the SPLC. Very fake in game. I think it's a natural reaction to a growing distrust in the state in being able and willing to defend civil rights. And again, their idea of civil rights is abortions, children, transgender mutilations, and gay people and immigrants. Like that's human rights to them. It's nonsense. As an interest, said Gorsensky, a lot of people on the left have sat and watched violent neo-Nazis be protected by the police. It's not a lot, you know, that's the thing. These people cry violent neo-Nazis. There's just not enough violent neo-Nazis. There's really not. Like the SPLC literally has to pay Nazis, right, to exist. And they're still not violent enough. There's still not enough of them. Like half of them are fake and gay, and the other half are like doing like, you know, MMA club and workout club, and they read literature and they do other wacky things. Like there's not really being particularly violent. Or they go and LARP in the woods, right? Be protected by the police while those violent neo-Nazis are committing illegal violence themselves. Citation needed, right? As if your team isn't like murdering ICE agents, shooting up Texas Border Patrol facilities, and then accidentally killing ICE detainees inside of a van because you're retarded mongoloids, right? A report from the National Institute of Justice has since been removed from the Department of Justice website, despite results aligning with other independent studies, found that far-right extremists have killed more Americans than any other politically or religiously motivated group. And again, it's all how you quantify. Like I can make the data say whatever the heck I want it to, right? If I just say, well, actually, this shooting here wasn't politically motivated, even though, you know, the Shooter's Manifesto definitely said that it was, and they happen to be transgender and all of this sort of stuff. It's like, just take the year to date. Like how many children have been murdered by trannies? Like 30, 35 this year. How many by neo-Nazis? The big 0, right? Does anybody have an example of a neo-Nazi murdering a child? Is the neo-Nazi behind me at the ATM at 10 o'clock at night? Is it the neo-Nazi that I'm looking out for? Is it a neo-Nazi that's going into a Catholic school and shooting up little kids? It's again, the demand for neo-Nazi violence is just, it just doesn't, the supply is just not there. It's never been there. Anyway, so that's this article from this tard. Yeah, thanks, bro. Yep. Anyways, we have more tards though. Do not worry, we're still on the tard spree. Okay, this is Friday night. It's not even rage bait. Okay, this is real gun news. This is hard hitting gun news here. Edward Norton stole my bike. For some reason, I don't believe you. Not Ed Nig Norton, maybe not Edward Norton, probably. Anyways, here we have a very important update. Now, we covered the ATF Rule 34. You can Google that for yourself if you want to. But one of the directives in that 34 rule listing of the ATF affects a certain group of people. And let me, or I'll let you decide which group of people that truly is.
All right, everybody, I'm going to walk you through how to leave a public comment on the ATF's proposed changes to Form 4473. So this is where you're going to start on the regulations.gov website. You see down there, selecting biological sex on ATF forms. We're going to leave a link to this in the story. It's also going to be highlighted in the queer news and the Got Rights highlight. So the first thing you're going to do.
Yeah, so of course there's the comment period somewhere between 30 and 90 days on the ATF's Rule 34. Again, you can Google that for yourself. And very important for the queer community is they need to make sure that they can select what, like, this is their priority, okay? Because this, like, if one thing does not agree with their fantasy delusion, then the whole system falls apart, right? They need to force you into going along with their delusion. It's not enough to want to be left alone. You must actually proactively accept their delusion, accept their insanity, and pretend that they just are whatever they say that they are, right? So on the new ATF Rule 34 that is in its comment period right now, you have to select your biological sex, which is just whatever gender you are, right? They're really tied together very closely, in fact. Some would even say they're the same thing. But for the queer community, big problem here. Big problem, okay? Having to, they can't just say whatever the heck they feel in the moment. They actually have to, quote unquote, be nailed down to what they were at birth, what they are at birth, no matter what mutilation or hormones you get, you're still that thing. Okay.
Is click the comment button. Once you click that button, it's going to bring you here. As you can see above, we have 90 days to leave comments on this forum. So if you do nothing else to make a difference for this extremely important issue, leave a freaking comment. You have 90 days, okay?
Remember that whatever this thing is, because again, I don't want to assume it's gender because I literally can't tell. Whatever this androgynous freak is saying, this one has the same voting rights as you and I. I love voting.
So in the space below, you can leave your comment. If you need some guidelines or best practices, you can check out the commenters checklist, or you can look at some of the past public comments for federal regulations to get an idea of what these sound like. Try to be as professional and tactful as possible. Don't say anything threatening. Try not to be like sarcastic or rude. Use constitutional law if you...
Try not to be Reddit coded. Listen, I know you just showed up here from Reddit, but listen, try not to be Reddit on an official government website where you're trying to leave a comment on there. And listen, I feel bad for whatever ATF tard has to read all of the queer nonsense going on in this post. And it's like every single one is like, actually, if you make me affirm my gender at birth, then that will heckin' put me into another Holocaust, or I'll cut myself, or, whatever else. This is a literal genocide against trans people. Not affirming transgender delusions is literally genocide, don't you know?
Know of any, or if you want to do a little bit of research and cite some. If you are totally stumped and you don't know what to say, we are going to create a template that you can use, and we're going to create a link to a doc that you can copy and paste it from, and we're going to leave it in our story, so stay tuned for that. Also, very important, do not leave any personally identifiable information in this comment. This is a public forum. Literally anybody on the internet can see it. Do not publicly identify who you are. That could be a risk to your safety. If you feel like it, you can attach files. Maybe you want to attach some files of previous legal precedent to show why this is unconstitutional if you want to go that far.
Dude, see, this is the thing. If trannies can interpret the Constitution to mean whatever they want, right? Maybe a founding document just isn't enough. Maybe we need some sort of enforcement mechanism or some sort of non-individual interpretation of these, books. So we've been talking about that a lot on Redoubt, of course, when it comes to like sola scriptura versus, normative authority. But I'm just saying, maybe if we let transgenders and other people with obvious mental illnesses, if we let them interpret things, maybe they're not going to come to the same conclusion. Maybe we shouldn't be letting you interpret or have power or be allowed outside or near children or, outside of your state mandated mental asylum.
That's not required. You also have the option of including your email address if you want to receive a confirmation and updates about this case. However, you can choose to remain anonymous if you want to. Down at the bottom, you'll see there's 3 options. You can choose individual, institution, or anonymous. If you choose anonymous, the email address section will disappear. If you do not want to receive confirmation and tracking numbers to track this case, you can go ahead and opt out there. Then you're going to select whether you are signing this as an individual, an organization, or if you just want to remain anonymous. Like I said, if you remain anonymous, then you don't have to put any contact info, no email address, no nothing. If you select individual, as you can see, you have to give a little bit of demographic and some basic identifying information. All that's required is first name, last name, but you can give additional information if you want to give a little bit more demographic info. If you're submitting your comment on behalf of an organization, you're just going to say what kind of organization type it is and the name. And from there, you're just going to complete the CAPTCHA and go.
Well, see, here's the thing, Hendo. You know what's funny about this question, which I actually do like? So Hendo says, is an Israeli or a Japanese person a neo-Nazi for wanting a monoculture, a mono-ethnic culture, right? A homogenous culture. Depending on what type of progressive you're talking to, they will literally tell you that the state of Israel is a neo-fascist, like evil state committing genocide, and they'll actually say that Israel is one-to-one with the Nazis in a lot of ways. while at the same time still having to vaguely say something about, you can't be anti-Semitic or something like that. And then Japanese people, they're not really the main target of discourse right now, at least from the political left, right? Whereas Israel and Gaza and all of this sort of stuff definitely is.
Go ahead and hit that submittee boy. Again, reminder, do not submit any personally identifiable information in the comments. They are all completely public. So there you have it. It's easy as heck. Literally anybody can do it. It takes 2 minutes. Please share this with your friends, family, anybody you know who cares about the Constitution and cares about the trans community or cares about the Second Amendment. The 2A is for everybody. We want to keep it that way.
2A is literally not for everybody. Rights aren't for everybody. We actually, from the beginning of this country, have a mechanism for removing rights from people because we realize that rights are not, in fact, universal. The way it's always been.
Absolutely.
I love people appeal to the Constitution for voting rights, like as if the Constitution granted you voting rights. Like until what, the 17th Amendment, you couldn't even vote for senators. Right? It's like just obviously we did not have universal suffrage. Obviously that was never the plan of the framers for hundreds of years, for the majority of the country, right? All right, bro.
Dude. No reason why the ATF should be passing more unconstitutional restrictions that are banning law-abiding citizens from owning firearms just because of their gender identity. Let's make this happen, y'all. All right,
again, nobody's banning you. They're just making you put down male or female on the 4473, which again, quite funny because yes, no matter what sort of gender dysphoria, mental illness, disability you have, gonna have to put what you were down as at birth. Sorry, bro. Sorry, dude. This freaking ticks me off. Yeah, again, and these sort of same people will talk to you about like anti-constitutional laws or something or ATF overreach, and then they will at the same time vote for red flag laws and politicians who have assault weapon bans and, magazine bans and all of the other gay stuff. So these people don't really care about anything as long as it affirms their mental illness, which again, in this case happens to be gender dysphoria. Like, this person votes blue on everything, right? But they'll talk about like, as long as I can mark down whatever gender I'm feeling like today on the 4473, then I'll be affirmed or something. I'm not entirely sure. Reinstate 2A gatekeeper. Yeah. Average better way 2A follower. Are they still alive? Are they dead? Well, talking about very strange gun news, okay? Very unfortunately named gun news, which actually ties very well into the whole transgender ideology here, is we have a new rail system called the CP1. Not the name that I would have gone with, all right? It's like when you say you're a big fan of cyberpunk, you don't abbreviate cyberpunk, right? You just don't do it. When you say I'm a big fan of CP, has a very different meaning than I'm a big fan of cyberpunk, all right? Not the same thing. So the dual cool CP1 handguard dual layer cooling AR-15 rail, which is just so many words shoved together there. Don't call your rail the CP1. Don't do that. Nope. But it is interesting, okay? Other than the name, there are other interesting things about it. The fact that it's $600 or $700. That's interesting, right? $600 or $700? $600 or $700 for a rail? Okay. Well, for $600 or $700, it better do a lot for me. Okay. So this CP1, how cool is it? Okay. Mission brief. All right. This is for Mitchell Defense, by the way. Mission brief, pre-order item, early bird pricing ends May 31st. Oh, the price goes up. Oh no. Oh, wait. So if you don't buy it in the next 3 weeks, the price goes up to $750 to $900. $900 for a handguard? Listen, $675 is a steal right now. Get on that now. 3 weeks, it goes up to $900. The dual cool CP1, that name though, handguard is now available for pre-order. Shipping is anticipated to begin in July. Pre-order a $700 handguard, sorry. Orders will ship in the order they are received. You may cancel your pre-order, blah, blah, blah. The dual cool CP1, that name, handguard is the first 3D printed dual layer AR-15 handguard engineered for extreme thermal control, built with A20X alloy. I don't know what that is. Its air gap core slows heat transfer, keeping the outer shell cool longer and cooling faster between shots. Integrated grip texture ensures control without compromising M-lock or Picatinny function. This dual cool CP1 is the first dual layer AR-15 handguard with built-in air gap thermal barrier. So dual layer heat shield technology. Now, very important to note that Magpul did this for $50 in 2006. Early bird CP pricing before GTA 6. Yeah. So it is we'll look at the pictures in just a second, but the inner shell absorbs heat from the gas block while the engineered air gap prevents transfer to the outer layer. I doubt that very much. This makes dual cool one of the most effective heat resistant AR-15 rails available. Faster cooling between springs. Again, I don't believe this, right? There is no like free lunch here. There is no way to get around thermodynamics. The heat has to go somewhere. So you can trap it somewhere. You can try and make it go somewhere else. You can transfer it from different places, but you can't get rid of it, okay? It doesn't just disappear. We can try and transfer it faster. We can try and transfer it slower. We can try and put it here. We can try and put it there, but it has to go somewhere. Compared to traditional rails, the dual cool surface stays cooler longer and sheds heat rapidly after firing. Integrated grip texture, I'm sure people like that. Reinforced M-lock at 3, 6, and 9, and 45 degrees. AI engineered geometry for strength and weight reduction. We have AI designed rails before GTA 6. That's right. We have AI generated handguards for your AR-15 before GTA 6. Mounting flexibility, marine recon heritage. Okay. Dual cool isn't just engineering. It's a nod to the marine recon community where earning both airborne and combat diver qualifications earns the dual cool title. Dual cool CP title. This handguard carries the same elite spirit of mastery. So the CP1 alloy 3D printed heat treated anodized Cerakote doesn't tell me the weight. Now, looking at the design here, so it is hideous, right? Because it's 3D printed alloy, so it has that very grainy, very rough resolution in its texture, right? Which probably feels all right when it comes to, gripping onto the thing, having some texture on your hand. This is just a handguard liner, right? Like, that's all that this is. This is just a handguard liner. Again, Magpul did this in 2006 for $40, or probably even cheaper back then, right, with inflation. Magpul did this like 20 years ago for 1/10 the cost, 1/15 the cost. The Epstein rail. Oh, no. Oh, no. So anyways, dual layer construction, an inner shell that absorbs and channels the heat from the gas block, and an outer shell separated by an engineered air gap. So here's the thing. The inner channel is still connected to the outer handguard, right? It has to be. These aren't two separate components. These are connected with this alloy that transfers heat. It just is going to. Now, I agree with them that it will probably slow it down a little bit, okay? It's probably going to slow down how fast the outer shell heats up, but not by that much, right? Because even if this works as a perfect heat sink or capturing the heat, it's still going to get really hot, and then it's going to start to radiate, and then it's going to just transfer that heat through the air, basically through convection into the outer rail. It just will. So let's say a normal rail takes 4 mags before it's untouchable, or like 3 mags before it's untouchable. This one here might take 1 extra magazine. That would be my guess. Like, if you put this head to head with the same rifle, one with a dual cool CP rail and one with a standard rail, the regular rail will probably heat up to an untouchable level like 1 magazine earlier. That would be my guess, right? So it will be a little cooler for a little longer. And I don't even know how you could claim extra airflow, because it's going to cut off airflow from the actual barrel and rail. So I don't even know if it's going to cool off faster because there's just more material there. And there's going to be heat pockets almost in between the inner and outer. So maybe in like a high wind environment with a lot of natural airflow, there will be an added cooling factor. But it just seems like nonsense. If I had to guess, if I'm trying to give it the most benefit of the doubt, it'll be a little cooler for a little longer, and in some circumstances will cool down faster. Sometimes, right? The dual cool CP1 handguard features a permanent 3D printed grip texture, which I don't hate that. It's like, if you're going to be 3D printing it, you might as well do all the little do's and dads and bibs and bobs just to get the most utility out of the rail as possible. Built directly into the alloy itself. This design delivers a secure hold in any condition, wet, dry, or gloved, without adding bulk or interfering with M-lock slots or accessory mounted. Now, the CP1 alloy, made out of, dissected Epstein victims. The CP1 alloy advantage. CP1 is a next-generation aerospace alloy known for its exceptional strength-to-weight ratio, so it's an aluminum alternative, outstanding corrosion resistance, and resilience in demanding environments. It withstands heat better than traditional aluminum rails, and transfers less thermal energy to the shooter's hand. Enhancing comfort during extended fire, combined with our dual-layer thermal barrier design, CP1 delivers a lighter, tougher, cooler-running handguard built for serious use. So again, you still don't get around the fact that the heat has to go somewhere. So if it does not transfer heat as well, it means that the heat is going to stay in the barrel and the gas block and the barrel nut and the upper receiver, right? Because if you have something that just doesn't transfer heat at all, it's like if you put a carbon fiber sleeve over a barrel with no airflow and get it really hot, it's like, yeah, that heat doesn't transfer to your hand, but it stays in the barrel, the gas block, the gas tube, the barrel nut, everything else for much longer because you're insulating everything else, right? Bald Trip, welcome to the club. Hope you're doing well, Weekend Gunner. So I want to see the weight, though, because they're not giving me any weight specifications with the CP1 dual cool handguard. And again, keep in mind that I'm not going to buy one. I am not going to test this out. This is not enough utility for how much money they're trying to charge. So the cheapest model, the 7-inch, the short boy, $550, heading up to $750 on the 31st. 9.3 inch, which is like, okay, use it on a Mark 18, 10.5 on an 11.5, that's good. $600? I don't think so, dog. It's going to be a no from me, dog. And you know what else is bad about this rail looking at it? The lockup looks to be just 2 clamps. Like there's no anti-rotation tabs, and unless it's pinned in the middle for an upper receiver pin that goes between your handguard and your upper receiver, it doesn't seem like there's a lot else going on. So is this rail even going to hold 0? Is it like, even if it does the cooling thing a little bit better, I'm not spending $600, $700, $800, $900 on a rail that's not going to hold 0. That doesn't have any sort of, anti-rotation devices or something to make it a little bit more rigid. I am not interested in this at all. I'm sure somebody will make a video on it, but it is absolutely like stupid. So let's read their FAQs. So what makes the dual cool CP1, gotta come up with a different name, different than another AR-15 handguard? So true dual layer construction, with precision engineered air gap between the inner and outer shells. The inner structure manages to absorb the heat generated around the barrel and gas system. Well, if it absorbs it, it's going to transfer it. Or if it's not going to absorb it, then it's not going to transfer it, which means it's going to stay there. Allows the handguard to rapid heat soak. That's not good. Yeah, this sounds like nonsense. This sounds like marketing nonsense. Now, I imagine CP1 must be very expensive because of the way that it's mined from miners, right? So the CP1 must be a very expensive alloy that has weird mechanical properties. Maybe it's better than aluminum in some ways. Who knows? But listen, for $900 next month, no thank you. That's right. Actually, Rycard is correct. Yes. Grand Thumb will do a video on this handguard with the ambient arm suppressor, and it will be maximum cooling. Okay. There will be no heat anywhere. No heat in the video, no heat in the rail, no heat in his performance, no heat in the suppressor, nowhere, no heat to be found. Interesting. This is why RAM is $1,000. Yes, AI designed rails are why you can't afford to build a PC. No, I'm not even. I was like, I'm going to Google this alloy. Let me see. CP mechanical characteristics. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not going to cover I'm not going to look up the mechanical properties of CP. Just not things I'm going to Google today. All right. Well, how about another topic? Okay, maybe this one will have a little bit more heat for some of you homies out there. Okay, America's largest state agency, CHP, trusts in the MNP. The California Highway Patrol has selected the MNP 9 2.0 as their official duty pistol, proven through 16,000 rounds of testing with 0 malfunctions. Now, listen. 16,000 rounds, no malfunctions, like 0? Maybe, but I would say 16,000 rounds is like that's past the mechanical failure point for a lot of like little components, like, or even just ammo. Like in 16,000 rounds of ammo, like you're probably gonna find a bad primer. You know, so unless they're talking about like 2,000 rounds on 8 guns or 4,000 rounds on 4 guns, I don't entirely believe them. You know, I mean, even magazines in 16,000 rounds, like sometimes, you know, you have a little mag bobble or you have something going on. Yeah, 16,000. That'd be my question. Three-way supremacist. 16,000 rounds across how many total units? If I had to guess, like 8, 6, 4, somewhere in that range, 6, 7. But it is the MNP 2.0, and I know there's a lot of MNP 2.0 stands out there. And listen, for the 52nd largest military in the world, known as the CHP, only the best. So SIG P320, they're out. They're down. Okay. Biggest contract for United States Police Force. MNP 2.0.
Today, I want to share exciting news. The department has approved and secured a contract to purchase the next generation of duty weapons. We've selected the 9mm Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 with optics. The M&P 2.0 underwent vigorous testing by our own Academy Weapons Training Unit in partnership with the Department of General Services Engineering Division. Over 16,000 rounds were fired through test pistols using both duty ammunition and frangible training ammunition. With
no malfunctions with frangible training ammo? None? Now, you guys can't see it because YouTube doesn't like me to show guns being showed on screen, even though it's, it's a recorded video by the CHP. Thanks, YouTube, for that. They did have some of them with the Acro. So since the Glock contract ran out earlier this year, because they had 1 year of exclusivity with Aimpoint for the new COA footprint, right? So I think there's a possibility that these will all be COA 2.0. So if you like Aimpoint COAs, you like MMP 2.0s, well, guess what? CHP picking those up. So you're going to have like 10,000 of these things in California for the CHP, who unfortunately won't be able to sell them, or will be able to sell them on the secondhand market. But I don't know if regular California citizens can get MMP 2.0s, right, with the COA cut. But CHP can sell them on the secondhand market, right? Because that's how these guns come in off registry, right? For you California bros.
0 malfunctions reported. Top management fully supports this transition and is confident this next generation duty weapon will help keep our personnel and the public safe for years to come. Thank you for everything you do and keep up the good work.
Yeah, keeping the public safe. Now, I was just curious about this. I know that this is a really big contract for these guys because, again, there's like 10,000 CHP officers, so they're going to have a lot of them. 43,000 rounds, just breaking it in. I like you guys, but injecting anything California on a pistol is akin to saying you won a medal at the Olympics and meaning Special Olympics. That's funny. Yeah, police officers and knowing how to shoot do not always go hand in hand. All right, let's see here. Anything exciting? So, also the Royal Canadian Police, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the 2.0 bros are indeed all 6 of them losing it in chat. So, at least as of a couple years ago, there were 6,400 officers, but I think they had another like 1,200 in the last 2 years since this number came out in 2023. So there's probably between like, Again, it's funny numbers, 6,000 and 7,000, maybe 7,500 officers in the CHP right now, and then about 3,000 civilian members as support staff. So before I move on to it, guys, let me make sure it's not on this screen here. What do you guys think the budget is for the California Highway Patrol for their yearly budget? Just a guess. How much does California spend on the California Highway Patrol? It's a big number, by the way. I'll give you a hint. It's in the billions. It is in the billions of dollars. 6, 7 mil, 15 mil, 500 million, 12 mil. No, it is billions. 200 mil? Nope. How many officers? 65 to 7,500 officers right now. The correct answer, gentlemen, in 2023, which has gone up since then, I imagine, is $3.2 billion. It's probably roughly $3.5 billion. So $3.5 billion for their annual budget for the California Highway Patrol is a lot. Now, if we look at this funny little handy dandy website that I just decided to pull up because I personally think this is very funny, is that this puts the California Highway Patrol in between Argentina, Azerbaijan, and New Zealand in terms of military spending. Like, it's above a lot of countries. It's a pretty insane amount of money. In fact, it's in like the top 50. It might even be slightly higher than that. Let me see. Does this have the full total? I think it might be top 50. Top 50 countries in the world, same budget or more than a budget, sorry, on the California Highway Patrol. Now, with that thought in mind, okay, we have 6,500, 7,500 California Highway Patrol officers and like 3,000 support staff. If we were to put them against, let's say, New Zealand, okay, so just this metaphorical face-off here, we're going to put them all in like a big arena that can hold everybody, and we're going to have the 10,000 CHPs versus the entire New Zealand army. Who comes out on top, pound for pound, dollar for dollar? My point in that is that I'm pretty sure these countries with like an actual military would just, and the infrastructure and the planes and the missiles and everything else would just obliterate the CHP. So how is a country, Freudian slip, how is a state like California wasting so much money on the CHP? Like, people are saying it in chat, but they just have to be like skimming money. They just have to be stealing money, right? $3.5 billion, $3.2 billion for 10,000 people. And like, obviously there's a lot of infrastructure there. There's all the equipment, vehicles, guns, everything that goes on to that. It is a lot, but not as much as would be for a full military. And yet they're in the top 50 in the world. I feel like somebody is absolutely stealing money. And again, California politicians and police officers stealing money and not putting the money where it's supposed to go would not be anything new for the state of California. Now, speaking of politicians, federal officers, police officers, and what have you, putting things where they don't belong, we have the FBI agent who lied about losing his government-issued M4 rifle, which later turned up in a juvenile shooting. That's a little awkward. Has avoided prison. The agent, Mose Countryman, very funny name, was sentenced to Friday to 1 year probation and given a $1,200 fine, again, for losing an M4 that ended up in a juvenile shooting, meaning that he allowed some kid to steal it or he sold it to a kid, and then the kid ended up shooting them. And wouldn't you know it, Mose Countryman looks exactly like you think he would. Now, it is funny that this guy's last name is Countryman. He doesn't look like a countryman. He looks like old-fashioned farm equipment to me. But Mose Countryman lost an M4 rifle that was later used in a juvenile shooting. Countryman then lied about losing it, claiming that the gun was stolen out of his FBI vehicle. He's set to be sentenced in May and remains out on bond. Now, again, we know the sentence now. The sentence now is 1 year probation, no jail time, and a $1,200 fine. And a $1,200 fine is literally just the name or the price of the M4 that he lost, right? So an FBI agent, again, not their best. Secret Service guys jacking it in the lobby, allowing shooters to get way further than they should, accidentally shooting themselves, leaving guns places, giving secret information to honeypots. They just do all the things, right? FBI know better, okay? They are not sending their best. And by not their best, I mean Moe's countryman. So on September 25th, 2024, Lafayette Police Department officers were dispatched to a report of shots being fired after a brief police chase arrested juvenile suspects, the usual suspects, no doubt, who were in possession of the related FBI rifle bearing serial number blah, 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 assigned to countryman. The Lafayette Police Department submitted the rifle to the Academia Criminalistics, funny word, criminalistics. I didn't even know that was a real word. Laboratory, I'm going to use that. Criminalistics, okay, when I'm talking about stats on criminals, criminalistics. Laboratory for analysis, in which serial number, blah, 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 was again documented. The crime laboratory also compared a spent shell casing discovered at the scene of the shooting and determined that the shell casing had been fired from Countryman's M4 carbine. On or about December 17, 2024, SA Countryman reported to the FBI management at Lafayette RA, including his direct supervisor, SSRA Douglas Herman, that his rifle was possibly stolen out of his FBI-assigned government vehicle between December 15th and 16th. Not possible, considering that 2 months earlier, that rifle was used in a shooting. So he had either sold, disposed of it, or otherwise came into that juvenile's possession 2 months before he said it was stolen. So he's a lying Fed. Interesting. And again, according to this post, this random poster online, we don't even know if the guy's fired yet. You would hope so, considering he allowed his rifle to go into possession of somebody who was not allowed to have one, a juvenile who then used it in an illegal shooting. Not, obviously. I would hope that he has been fired. I'm not going to get jail time. Got a little fine, which is really tragic, right? Because listen, if you or I had lost a firearm through no fault of our own, or somebody stole it or something like that, and then it ended up being used in a crime, there's a way higher chance that we would actually be prosecuted to the full extent of the law than Mr. Countryman here. All right, let's see. Man, are we just going to get straight into rage bait? Well, we're going to push that one off just a little bit because I find this one at least somewhat funny. And this is another government official doing the thing that you should not do, which is selling state secrets to China for reasons. I'm not sure why this man was spilling secrets and possibly other things, but we'll find out, I suppose. Retired Air Force fighter pilot Gerald Brown, who was accused of teaching American tactics to Chinese airmen. Thanks, Mr. Brown. Drove erratically to avoid an FBI tail, kept a fake passport, and deleted messages from foreign pilots to cover his tracks. Brown sold state secrets to China between late 2023 and his arrest on February 25th. He planned to retire in Asia. I wonder why he planned to retire to Asia. We haven't quite figured out his motive yet. We're still working on that. We're still working on his motive, but I'm sure that'll become clear later on. And his arrest on February 25th, he planned to retire in Asia after several years on a $250,000 annual salary. So, hey, you sell secrets to China for a couple of years, oh no, I'm so interested. What the climb rate on F-35? You got to go over and have a nice salary teaching Chinamen how to fly or, generic things about American aircraft for $250,000 a year. Again, it's like, I don't know. You can't be that down bad, right? $250,000 a year, right? That's your reward. Your risk is treason, though. Your risk is treason, like death. Like death. Not that they would actually execute him, but I mean, that's what you're risking. $250,000 a year for death? Not me. Not worth it. Nope. No. Brown, who had worked on an F-35 simulator program in the U.S. before moving to China, is accused of betraying secrets that included U.S. dogfighting techniques and tactics to suppress air defenses. from a PLA Air Force base in northern China, Brown taught local pilots, held briefings on U.S. capabilities, and eventually helped spy on American airmen in South Korea. Total traitor, right? Kill this guy. Brown was recently released from a U.S. jail on a $200,000 bond and placed under house arrest, including GPS and video surveillance at his sister's home in Minnesota. Always the Minnesota bros. So I am a little confused here because this guy literally, if there ever is a hot war between us and China, is selling them secrets that could lead to the deaths of American pilots, which is obviously like a horrific crime to literally sell out your countrymen's lives. But not to mention just the financial cost at $100 million a piece for the F-35s, right? Like, I mean, the death penalty seems warranted here. Like your actions could directly lead to the death of American pilots, right? So, and if we lose American pilots, there's an advanced risk that other people are going to die because we don't have those pilots active. So, I mean, listen, all right? This guy is a traitor, like a definitional traitor, okay? And, you know, execution does seem appropriate. But he's on a $200,000 bond with surveillance. Brown, whose pilot call sign was Runner, ooh, awkward, left the Air Force in 2007 after a 24-year career. He eventually sought work in China after being fired from 2 post-retirement jobs in U.S. aviation. Now, we've seen this a lot, actually. We've had American gun trainers. Like, obviously, this is less illegal because you're not selling state secrets. But we've had American, special forces guys or firearms trainers go to China specifically to train their people, which I may not technically be illegal, right? Because you're not selling state secrets. You're just doing like generic firearm stuff. However, I would argue is certainly immoral, 100% immoral. You should not do that. You should be shamed, and maybe you should lose your American citizenship if you are training foreign nationals who could end up in a hot war with America, right? All right. He was terminated from a flying job with UPS due to a complaint that he caused a physical altercation in 2016 while in the cockpit. Mid-flight, he later worked as a F-35 simulator instructor for a defense contractor, but was fired in 2013 after commander's inquiry found he had sexually harassed female airmen. You don't say. It does not shock me that he was a little too into the women, okay? It's just not surprising at all that he was into money, he was into girls, and he tried to figure out, how do I acquire both of these things? And it turns out that China will allow me to have those. Brown was paid more than $18,000 per month, which is not that much money. In late 2023, eager to fund his dream of retiring overseas, I wonder why, Brown turned to Steven Subin, a Chinese businessman whom Brown characterized as a quote-unquote master spy. Brown was paid more than $18,000 per month, plus benefits, including a Thailand vacation. Women presenting. Maybe, wait a second. Did we watch a video of this guy getting beat up earlier in Thailand? Is this Mr. Brown? Is this the same dude getting beat up in Thailand? Did we really just go full circle here? Dang, okay. Well, he definitely needs more money if that's what's happening to him in Thailand right now. After going to work for the Chinese company Stratos Aviation, U.S. intelligence has accused the business of hiring Western and NATO pilots to exploit their tactical knowledge. You don't say. I mean, China is just obviously doing these things, right? Like Eric Swalwell, right? They're obviously in bed with many American politicians. They're obviously in bed in our civil sector, trying to get as many state secrets as they can, Obviously, they're the largest landowner in Canada right now, right? Who's buying up all of the Canadian homes on our southern border or our northern border? Sorry, it's China, of course. Brown was motivated in part by desire to get behind the controls of a fighter jet one last time. In encrypted messages obtained by the FBI, Brown initially offered to serve as a simulated adversary known as Red Air for Chinese pilots, a role that would put him back in a cockpit. I've been researching the jets. J-11 is awesome. Watched a J-10 interception on a Canadian airplane, Brown wrote in one of Subin's other pilots. I cannot stop thinking about flying. Brown was arrested in late February, weeks after returning to the U.S. in an apparent bid to sell a condo he owned in Indiana. He lied to U.S. Customs that he had been working overseas as a commercial airline consultant. Though Brown never flew an F-35 during his Air Force career, his role running the simulator would have made him privy to the same closely guarded secrets as the pilots of those fifth-generation stealth fighters. This guy held the keys to the jet, a former fighter pilot and simulator instructor, could demystify Western behavior in ways surveillance alone cannot. Everyone's always observing everyone else, but sometimes you don't get the full picture or you misinterpret. So him being in there and actually being able to teach and talk through their tactics and give them feedback, I think is pretty significant. Correct. Yes. In May 2024, Brown traveled to South Korea, where he had previously worked as an A-10 simulator instructor to meet with U.S. Air Force personnel and furtively collect documents that Chinese military intelligence wanted to read. When he returned to China, Brown was debriefed by Chinese officials and turned over his electronic devices for them to exploit. Now, this is just like a lot of hubris going on here. If you're having open trips to China and South Korea, you're working as a simulator on A-10s and F-35s, you're openly trying to move there, you're not using encrypted devices or ways to get around surveillance, like, you're a pretty easy target. Like, of course the feds are monitoring you. Of course they're going to get you. And for what? For a cushy $250,000 salary and some Chinese girl? Like, yes, this is the last thing you see before leaking state secrets, apparently. Apparently these work, right? All the time. Just the same story keeps happening over and over again. Like, what's the Eric Swalwell guy? Isn't that Ling Ling? The girl, literal name is Ling Ling or Fang Fang or something like that. It's some retarded Asian name, okay? Not that all Asian names are retarded, but some of them are. Fang Fang or whatever it is. Yeah, so anyways, I think that if there was ever a guy who deserved to be punished for his being a traitor, it's like Jonathan Pollard we sent back to Israel. Not great. I wonder why we did that. But this guy, Mr. Brown has definitely flown his last, or maybe we do fly him one last time into a brick wall. Just saying, okay? If he wants to get behind the cockpit one more time, we'll use him as a test dummy in some air-to-air dogfight where he doesn't have missiles and the other guy does. Like something like that, okay? There's some sort of purpose we could put Mr. Brown to that would serve the American cause, I suppose. All right, well, how about more aggravating news, though, okay? We're kind of getting into the real rage bait of the stream. We'll see how far we make it in here. But actually, let's get to some of your guys' reports. 2 hours in. Shadowbeard, member for 6 months, appreciate you, sir, says Hitman Agent 47 vibe fire. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Somebody out here likes it. At least somebody is not clowning on my lack of hair, okay? Us bald people got to stick together. I'm literally coping, seething, and malding in chat right now. Thank you, Shadowbeard. Graham Bergdorfer, too, says, I'll have to check that out. Thanks. Please do. Thank you, Graham Bergdorfer. Appreciate it. Jeffrey Dahmer's famous ribs for 2 says, the U.S. flag is hung wrong. Stars go in upper left. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Jeffrey Dahmer. Once again, JD's famous ribs for 2 says, I bet he gets all his gun info from Trench. If we're talking about something earlier, then there's a high possibility that he has been trained by Trench Grenade. People were sending me earlier this week the video of that one, I think he must be an army dude or something, doing his pistol qual and how like pathetically bad the pistol qualification course is for the U.S. military. And like this guy is somebody who has been, ostensibly trained by people like Trench. Graham Bergdorf, member for 2 months, says trans is cultural appropriation according to ENS. How? Yeah. Black people do this with everything. We was Kangs, we were the Egyptians, we were the whites, we were the Atlanteans, we were the Jews, we were the trannies, we were the furries, we were the gays. It's like, you guys try and take credit for everything, okay? You just got to let the trannies have their thing, okay, blacks? Let the trannies have their things. There are some things you don't want to be the first of, okay? Thank you, Graham Bergdorf. Zanico for 5 says Trench has CP. That's not true. That's not nice. Okay, we don't need to call people, actual pedos, right? That aren't, He has a baby face, not faces of babies on his phone. It's different. Heathen from Texas for 2 says A26 alloy. That's just a stainless steel alloy. I'll let the metalheads decide what that is. Okay. Thank you, Heathen from Texas. CP1 alloy. I'm misheard. It's a type of aluminum. Okay. Why not just say aluminum? Because if you just say aluminum, it has a lot less negative connotation than just CP1. Thank you, Heathen. Everyday American for 5 says, funny how MNPs have been adopted across the country, even though every shooter worth their salt instantly changes the barrel, citing accuracy issues. Well, that's the thing. Shooters who are like into competitive shooting and into maximum speed and accuracy, of course, they're going to change their barrels, like duh. However, a cop who needs to pass a qual, like he doesn't care. Like the quals are so easy and the standards are so low. Like he could have a 20 MOA handgun and he would be just fine. You know, it's like from 7 yards, if you have to hit like a bowling ball, it's like accuracy of the barrel doesn't matter. However, me, if I'm going to be asked to hit a mini popper at 40 yards, it's like a 6-inch circle at 40 yards. Well, now that accuracy matters a lot more to me. I need to make sure that bullet goes exactly where I want it to go, right? Cops, not so much, apparently. Thank you, Everyday American. Julio Veloria, GG for 2 says Trump will hit Iranian oil railroad to China next. It's possible. All right, but don't worry about Iran or Epstein. Listen, we got UFOs and Hantavirus, okay? So focus on those 2 things. Focus on what's really important, okay? UFOs, UAPs, and the Hantavirus, okay? Not Iran or Epstein or geopolitics. Forget about that stuff. That's secondary. Thank you, Julio. Sheep Herder for 2 says, John looking like a GBRS hitman. Nice cut, bro. Thanks. Thank you. All right, a couple compliments. Thank you. Making me feel a little bit better. I needed that. Oh, I didn't need this, though. Okay, so here's the thing. Missouri. Nice enough place. I know some people that live there. I know some people that want to live there. Okay, it's got nice places. It's got nice geography for sure. However, people are arguing that there's one little pesky thing about Missouri, and that happens to be the stand your ground laws. Because standing your ground and not having a duty to retreat results in black people not being able to murder you, and that's a problem. Before I get to that, though, Paulie B over on Ko-Fi, sorry, I missed you, says, missed opportunity, needed hair, clean shaven, keep the black suit and tie and sunglasses for the Hugo Weaving Agent Smith look. Oh, okay. You hear that? Trench grenade, that is the sound of the inevitability. The sound of your death. Goodbye, trench grenade. Thank you. John is locking in on the meth game. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Prosecutors across Missouri say they are reaching their boiling point. Working for you, Fox 4 discovers it's all because of a law called Stand Your Ground. Since it passed in 2016, Missourians no longer have to retreat before defending themselves.
The problem is some district attorneys say since then homicides have gone up and loved ones are grieving. Fox 4's Dave DeMarco has.
Yep. When you're allowed to defend yourself without the full force of the law condemning you for defending yourself, the people who are attacking you should be killed. The people who are breaking into your home should be killed, right? So yes, quote unquote, deaths go up, but they're deaths of evil people. It's like, why is this a problem? I see this as a complete win.
The story.
After the gunshots, after the debate.
When people do not feel like they have a duty to retreat, more people lose.
Correct. Yes, more people lose their lives when I do not have a duty to retreat. When I'm out and about and I have my wife and daughter and son with me, and some animal comes across us and wants to cause us harm, I don't have to retreat. I don't have to take my family. I don't have to try and wrestle kids. I can just end the threat with stand your ground laws, which is why stand your ground laws are so wonderful. However, of course, this will negatively affect certain communities, that being the Black and brown communities. Like just to be real, like who does stand your ground laws negatively affect? Black and brown people physically. And it should. Yes. Stand your ground laws are moral, they're justified, they're wonderful, and they will keep these evil elements off of our streets and give the individuals power to take their safety into their own hands. Stand your ground laws are a massive win. They are wonderful. And I don't care if it negatively affects animals like the murderer of Irina Zarutska. I don't care if that animal gets gunned down deservedly in some sort of self-defense scenario, because the good guy with the gun does not have a duty to retreat. He has a duty to protect himself and others. Based. Stand your ground laws are based.
their lives.
If you turn and run, you're turning your back on the threat.
Families like the Garretts are left mourning and waiting.
I've cried every day since my brother's left, like every day.
Tia Garrett.
Because, I mean, look at those eyes. Yeah, because your brother assaulted people, because your brother tried to rob people, because your brother was a criminal who got put down by a good guy with a gun. Again, sorry that you lost your brother. Sorry that your brother was an awful human being, but your brother deserved what he got, okay? Because what? Some white dude didn't have to have a duty to retreat from your animal brother? You're crying over him. Maybe you should have been there for him. Maybe you should have stopped him from his life of crime. Maybe anyone in your family should have, put the foot down rather than, again, some good guy with a gun doing what needed to be done. I'm going to rewind it back to this retarded lady.
Duty to retreat. More people lose their lives.
If you turn and run, you're turning your back on the threat.
Families like the Garretts are left mourning and waiting.
I've cried every day since my brother's left, like every day.
Tia Garrett lost her brothers to gun violence. She says from the time they were children,
we took care of each other. Taylor was my protector, and Byron was my peace. Like, they loved their sister, and I loved them. Like, we was all we had. I couldn't imagine life without them.
I love the title. Victims' families criticize self-defense law. Victimizer's family criticize self-defense law. Your brother's not a victim. He assaulted people. The victimizer's family, they can cry because they lost a loved one, but you should have been there for him and stopped him from going down this life of crime then, In some ways, this does reflect on you and your family, right? I mean, come on. It's the same thing if my brother was a meth addict and, got killed while trying to break into somebody's house. That would look poorly upon me if I didn't do everything within my power to try and prevent his life of crime, right? But I would take accountability for my actions in my family. You, however, are not that thing.
But here I am.
On July 20th, 2025, Byron and Taylor were out for a drive when they encountered this man, Emmanuel Hernandez. Video shows the
well, I mean, black on brown violence, all right.
Garrett's pulled into a gas station with Hernandez following, and punches are thrown. Then inside, Hernandez follows them. Taylor Garrett throws another punch, and Hernandez pulls a gun and fires, killing.
Wow, you assaulted a guy multiple times. And he draws a gun on you, you retarded animal. Wow, that's crazy. You assaulted a guy multiple times, twice, in fact. Honestly, like, Mr. Hernandez, not my type of guy, right? But, like, kudos to you for being rather, non-typically, rather restrained in your actions, right? I mean, like, you got assaulted twice.
Killing both men.
I think it was provoked.
Killing both of them. Wow, 2 for 1. All right, Mr. Hernandez. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game.
Garrett's pulled into a gas station with Hernandez following, and punches are thrown. Then inside, Hernandez.
Like, listen, like, Hernandez, not a big guy, right? This guy is talking to this guy and then gets, of course, sucker punched by Fat Boy, right? I mean, that is just the order of
Hernandez following.
And yelling at this guy, sucker punched by animal number 2.
Punches are thrown.
Like, at this point, if he drew his gun and annihilated this guy, fair play. Like, absolutely. He just got sucker punched and continually punched by this guy. At any point, he can draw his gun. And there's 2 of them, right? Absolutely justified. Fear of your life. They're beating up on you. They've assaulted you. They've sucker punched you. They're chasing after you. Like, he is justified here in taking these fine young men out.
Then inside, Hernandez.
And again, he's still just talking, which I don't know. I don't know if he's like, listen, you can't do that. I'm going to call the cops on you, whatever. And then big fat man titty dude is like, actually, I'm going to punch you again. I'm going to punch you again. What you going to do about it? What you going to do about it, Bina? Oh, you got a gun? No, man. And it's over, right? Actions have consequences. You going to learn today.
Follows them. Taylor Garrett throws another punch. And Hernandez pulls a gun and fires, killing both men.
I think it was provoked. Like, he knew what he was going to do. Like,
your brother literally sucker punched the man and assaulted him multiple times. Your brother's not a good, spoiler alert, your brother's not a good person. Unprovoked or provoked. Like, listen, the freedom of speech is a wonderful thing in America, okay? Like, I could call that guy all sorts of names, and he's not actually justified in stabbing me or shooting me. Outside of whatever Portland happened to say when that one stabber stabbed that guy and got called a certain name.
He knew what he was gonna do. Like, he could have left them alone. He didn't have to do that at all.
And your brothers were unarmed.
Yeah, they did not have no weapons on them.
Dude, what is this physiognomy going on here? Like, it's like horror movie blob monster with eyes popping out of the skull. Like, what is going on? Is this normal? Like, this is especially bad. Especially bad. And no, that's the thing. Like, listen, there are more people every year that get killed with fists, feet, and hammers. More people die falling out of bed than are killed by rifles, okay? So just the fact that you're not armed does not mean you're not dangerous, okay? And yes, if you physically assault somebody with your hands or with your feet, deadly force is in some circumstances completely morally justified. Now, if you had just slapped somebody and been like, hey, knock that off, probably not a proportionate response to shoot them in the head, right? You might feel like it, but probably not proportionate if somebody gives you a little slap. However, sucker punching, multiple punches, a second assault, a couple minutes later, fear for your life, I think is totally justified.
But when it came time to bring Hernandez to justice, the power of Missouri's Stand Your Ground law took over. The Jackson County prosecutor charged him for only one death, manslaughter for the death of Byron Garrett. The prosecutor determined Hernandez went too far in using force after Byron was down. But
okay, so here's the thing. So Hernandez shot the guy while he was down, which is, again, at that point, it's not self-defense, okay? You know, it's the thing. It's like, the guy attacks you, you shoot him, he goes down, we're all good, you know, you're good now. Shooting the other guy while he's charging at you, okay, fine, whatever, you know, proportionate. Shooting them while they're down on the ground, though, that's not going to be easy to explain. Nope. No, that's not. And again, legally, right? Legally, okay? If your shot placement is better, you don't even have to have the follow-up shots, right? Which is always shot placement, shot placement, shot placement. But legally speaking, putting an extra one into them while they're down on the ground, gasping for air, like, not a good look. Not a good look, okay?
no charges in Taylor's death, determined to be the initial aggressor.
When you heard that,
it's not fair. He should get murdered for my brother.
All right, I'm gonna just review the footage once again, you stupid mongoloid. Let me see here. Where did it go? Somebody said the black Pepe is true. So just
20th, 2025,
Hernandez
Byron and
gets
Taylor were out
sucker
for a drive when they encountered this man, Emmanuel Hernandez. Video shows the Garretts pulled into a gas station with Hernandez following.
So he gets straight up sucker punched. I'm backing up by 1 second. Hernandez just gets straight up sucker punched by animal number 2 over here.
Is following, and punches are thrown.
And again, you could
Then
absolutely
inside.
die. Like if Hernandez had gotten knocked out by that much larger man sucker punching him, hit his head on the concrete and died, he could. That is a very plausible scenario, which is why lethal force is justified in self-defense in a stand your ground situation.
Hernandez follows them. Taylor Garrett throws another punch, and
then a
Hernandez
second
pulls a
assault.
gun and fires, killing both men.
I think it was.
And his crime, what he got charged with manslaughter, is putting a round in one of them while they were on the ground, which, yeah, you can't really do that. That one's one step too far, okay? I was with you right up until that last shot.
You murdered him. That wasn't fair. It's not fair.
But worse, says Tia, in the back seat of the Garrett car were 3 little girls, 7, 5, and 4.
These kids have to suffer for this.
And 2 of them were the daughters of Byron Garrett.
My niece is in therapy. She's in therapy.
We're paying for all of this, by the way. We're paying for this Section 8 breeding program that's happening. If that person was a good father, he would not have sucker punched Hernandez, and he would not have assaulted him twice. It is that simple. Like, listen, if I sucker punch somebody and assault them multiple times and they respond with force, like, what am I supposed to do? Play the victim? Like, no, that's not reasonable. But of course, for these people with reduced frontal lobe, I suppose it does seem more. Two of the six are his. Yeah. Anyways,
because she don't know how to talk about her daddy.
And now the family waits for the courts to handle the case.
What upsets you the most about all of this?
That we
you know, I'm just not that. Can I get a rap sheet? Can we pull the rap sheet on these guys? For some reason, they have that look about them where I'm like, I'm not sure if we lost 2 upstanding citizens. I don't know how much we actually lost here.
About all of this.
That we're not gonna get justice like we deserve. Like he murdered my brothers. He murdered them.
Dave DeMarco, Fox 4, working for you.
Okay, LaFonda. Murdered, yeah. Anyways, but the point of that story is, of course, this horrible situation. And what do we need to do? We need to not punish the people assaulting and sucker punching and doing all that sort of stuff. We need to repeal stand your ground laws so that blacks can act with impunity. Blacks should be allowed to assault, beat, murder, and rape. But if they face any consequences for actions, oh, no, that's where we need to repeal stand your ground so that blacks can act with impunity, because we can't have no black suffering consequences for his actions. That would be heckin' racist or bad in 2026 or something. Speaking of consequences for actions, this is just one of those disgusting things that makes me disillusioned with the modern state of America, you could say. And this is unfortunately real, okay? Walk up to a random guy in his car, dump 8 rounds into him. 19 people, eyewitnesses, saw you murder him. Of course, the black jury found him not guilty of murdering a random guy, and he walked free. His excuse was that he just wanted a ride. They can literally get away with murder. South Carolina jury fined a black man who confessed to killing white man not guilty of murder, spends less than 2 hours in deliberations. Why? Because the jury was black. So a jury of your peers means nothing, right? Means absolutely nothing. I mean, ever since O.J. Simpson trial, where the black jurors said, "We don't care, we want to get even. This is for black people, so we're just not going to convict O.J." In the same way, in this case in South Carolina, if the prosecution or the defense just stacks the jury full of black people, they're like, "Well, listen. Why he probably deserve it? Shit, man. But trying to get right out here, man. He wasn't doing nothing. Shit, dude." The jury of your peers means nothing when your peers are retarded mongoloids, right? Absolutely nothing. South Carolina jury fined black man who confessed to killing white man not guilty of murder. With a confession, huh? Spends less than 2 hours in deliberations. Devin Dontre Dunham has been found not guilty of murder in the shooting death of unarmed volunteer. You can be a volunteer firefighter eviscerated by Mongoloid number 421, and no justice for you. You can dedicate your life to helping others, and blacks don't care. Like, your world, your universe means nothing to them, okay? Nothing at all. Despite his confession and 19 witnesses taking the stand against him, the shooting took place near Stevens' home in Hardyville, South Carolina on August 10, 2017. According to Dunham's lawyer, an armed Dunham wanted a ride from Stevens and approached him while he was sitting in his Ford F-150 in a parking lot, but felt threatened by him and saw him reach for something, so he decided to unload all 8 rounds of his 9mm handgun into Stevens' truck before running away. Yeah, something about this tells me that you didn't just want to ride. You're just a murdering animal. You're a dog. Dunham struck Stevens with 4 bullets that hit his jaw, left arm, back, and chest, and fatally injured his heart and lung. Very sorry, man. Ugh. Dunham initially lied to police and denied knowing anything about the shooting and said he wasn't in the city at that time before confessing and claiming that he wasn't trying to hurt him when he unloaded into his car. Dunham appears to have been acquitted because his lawyer made a vague insinuations that racism may have been at play. Even though said insinuations were swiftly shut down by the judge, at least one member of the jury appears to have decided that that was all they needed to hear and found him not guilty after less than 2 hours of deliberation. In South Carolina law, murder is the killing of any person with malice aforethought, either express or implied. The Island Packet reported the prosecutors have to prove the charge beyond a reasonable doubt, and all 12 jurors must agree on whether the verdict is guilty or not guilty. Because he was not found guilty of murder, he could not be found guilty of the latter charge. Throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, 19 witnesses were called, including neighbors who saw or heard the shooting, law enforcement officers involved in the investigation and arrest, and experts who reviewed evidence such as 9mm handgun, spent bullets, the autopsy report, footprints at the scene, and Dunham's confession to police. So that's the thing, right? Nobody's arguing whether or not this man killed the gentleman, but they're saying, well, it wasn't murder because maybe he felt threatened after approaching somebody with a handgun. Ernst Martin Stevens. Sorry, man. And at the same time, LaFonda LaQuisha, whatever her name, will be complaining about blacks don't get justice. You're right. Blacks do not get justice in this country. Not the type they deserve anyways, right? Well, how much rage bait can we take? I think we can take a little bit more. We'll keep going for a minute. Speaking of people who do not get justice, blacks in America don't get justice. And there's other protected groups around the world, one could say. So Israel dropped the charges against the 5 IDF soldiers who were caught on camera beating and raping a Palestinian prisoner. Because again, raping prisoners of war to the most moral army in the world, the IDF, is not a crime. It's not a bad thing. In fact, if you listen to their read their holy books, the Talmud, 37 volumes of it, you are expressly allowed to do this sort of thing to the goyim, to your enemies. You are allowed to do all sorts of terrible things to young boys and girls, enemies of all colors, shapes, and sizes, as long as they are a goy, including raping them on camera. And yes, this is a group of IDF soldiers attempting to block poorly from the cameras the fact that they're just raping Palestinian prisoners on camera. And again, according to the IDF, according to the Israeli government, this is indeed kosher. This is fine. This is chill. Listen, okay, in wartime, things gets a little wacky-dacky. Okay, so sometimes you got to rape a Palestinian prisoner, right? Things just happen sometimes. Sometimes you knock over a statue of Christ. Sometimes you desecrate other statues and icons of Christians. And sometimes you just got to murder a family of 5 and rape them afterwards. It's like, sometimes silly little things happen in war, okay? Sometimes silly little things happen. Now, if only we could see this one coming from a million miles away. Britain's first gay surrogate parent charged with rape and human trafficking. No way. That's crazy, dude. That's wild. One of Britain's first gay parents conceiving their child through surrogacy, which should be banned outright. What an evil, demonic practice. Has been charged with rape, sexual assault, modern slavery trafficking for sexual exploitation. Barry Derwit Barlow and his husband, Scott, have been charged in connection with grooming young men. Barry Derwit Barlow conceived a child through surrogacy with a former partner, Tony. Connection with grooming young men. They're pedos, you say. Pedos who adopted a boy. Huh. That's
Patrick, do you think Squidward was trying to tell us something?
Every time. Every single time, in fact. Every single time. Britain's first gay dad through surrogacy charged with rape. Police carry out raids in Essex as prosecutors announce multiple charges against Barry Barlow and his husband, who own Malden and Triptree Football Club. Football's gay. One of Britain's first gay fathers to become a parent through a surrogate mother has strenuously denied targeted and grooming young men for sexual exploitation, a court has been told. 57 years old, huh? Ugh. Appeared at Chelmsford Magistrates Court on Friday, charged with multiple sexual offenses alongside his husband, Scott, 32. The defendant spoke only to confirm their personal details. CPS said the men had been charged with arranging or facilitating travel of another person with a view to exploitation, rape, and sexual assault. The defendants of Danbury, Essex are alleged to have recruited young men before grooming them and subjecting them to sexual assaults, including rape, the court was told. Wow. 2 gay pedos adopt a boy child. That's crazy, dude. I've never heard of that before. You're telling me this for the first time. This happens? This is crazy? 2% of the population, 40% of the pedos? That's crazy, dude. Wild story. Anyways, I wish them a very happy millstone on their anniversary. It's really just what they deserve. It's nothing much, okay? Just a simple little millstone and a little trip to the bottom of the lake, or lock in this case, right? Now, what is one of the biggest problems in America? Now, I know you guys are all going to jump to the J word, right? Of course. But what are one of the simpler things that we can go after first to sort of fix some of America's problems, and that is going to be female judges. And now Harrison Smith says we need to have a serious national discussion about black female judges. Well, I agree with him on principle. We need to have a serious conversation about black people and females, right? In general, right? Females should not be judges, and there are other issues that we could talk about, I suppose, relating to this. So the judge was publicly warned for her mishandling of 4 child sex crime cases and conduct in the courtroom. Female judge from hell sanctioned after she let 4 pedophiles off probation early. We often talk about how judges should be held liable for the crimes, right, of the people that they let off, right? So if they let somebody off early who then goes on to murder, rape, be a pedo, whatever it might be, they should be subjected to the same crimes. Now, letting off 4 pedos early, I'm tempted. Is it 4 millstones? Is it still just 1 millstone? Like, how do we 4 millstones in 4 different directions? Like, it's got to be something, right? There's got to be some sort of special circumstance for this specific lady here. But yeah, I just don't think that you're suited ontologically. I don't think your nature goes along with being a judge, being in politics, being in public, existing. Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I think the problem goes deeper than just black female judges. Yeah, black female judges, big problem here. Big problem. Now, this is a bit of a weird story, also kind of a black pill. Not really. It's just usually, like, we cover a lot of ethnic problems here, ethnic issues around the country on this show, right? A little bit of rage bait from time to time. However, this one's just kind of sad. It's like, I mean, you're monsters and you're terrible, but not as bad as usual, I guess, right? So, new family claims that they found their autistic son therapy pig. So, there's therapy animals have gotten a little wild, when you got your therapy alligator or your therapy monitor lizard, like, okay, sure, but maybe we've gone a little too soft as a society. So anyways, a therapy pig shot dead beside a pot of boiling water with neighbors reportedly wearing aprons. Which, yes, it does sound a little comical, okay? A little comical, right? Because it's almost like a cartoon sketch. It's like, where'd my pig go? And then there's the suspiciously shaped trio with pig-shaped bellies, and they're like, I don't know. Your pig? What? This is the first time I'm hearing of this. This is the first time I'm hearing of this just now. You're just telling me now. Shot his therapy pig and had it next to a boiling pot of water wearing aprons. Like, it's comical, right? It's certainly comical. Garrett Cox, 12, who had a close bond with his 400-pound hog, Bootsy, which his mother says helped him manage ADHD and autism. Now, again, that part I'm not making fun of, right? Kid who has problems, who has an animal, a pet, something that helps him cope and helps him get through. Not the worst thing in the world, right? The family says the pig escaped its pen last week, and shortly after, the boy's father heard a gunshot coming from a nearby property. He says he later found the pig dead inside a neighbor's home near boiling water and people wearing aprons. The family says the neighbors laughed when confronted about the animal. Again, different cultures are not compatible. They're not going to have compassion for an animal the same way you or I will. Not going to happen. something about these people, the culture that they come from, that they don't value life the same way that we do. The family says neighbors laughed when confronted about the animal. Police have arrested Maya Kai Veng Mao. That's the correct pronunciation, by the way. Mese Miao and Ki Miao on aggravated animal cruelty charges. Now, I don't even know if that's fair, though. Okay, to be real, like, this is obviously sad that the kid loses his support animal. However, if a huge pig wanders onto your property and you shoot it, like, on some level, a 400-pound pig has got to be a pest, right? A 400-pound pig is certainly a pest. So them killing it is like, I kind of get it. You know, I wouldn't want a 400-pound pig roaming on my property. I wouldn't necessarily my first thought would not be to boil it, but you know, different strokes for different blokes, I guess.
It's a very curious.
That's the highest volume you've got.
Girl, she looks similar to this, but without the white nose.
This family claims they found their autistic son's therapy pig shot dead beside a pot of boiling water.
It has ADHD at a level that reflects a level 1 student with autism.
The family says the pig escaped from its pen at their home in rural Georgia. Shortly after, the father says he heard a gunshot and followed the sound to a nearby property where he found the pig dead.
She started crying,
So it's been very up and down since that.
Police have arrested 3 people in connection with the case on aggravated animal cruelty charges.
Past, present, and
I mean, everybody has their different coping mechanism, and I do hope that this young man does well. You know, I hope that he can manage through the loss, as everybody does. I mean, honestly, with all pets are good for a lot of ways. They teach young men to be responsible for cleaning up after something else, for you know, getting through the emotion of a loss. Right? They do that quite well for children. So I hope that he does actually come out the other side of this better. Sorry for the loss of Bootsy. Kind of a funny story given the nature of the suspects. Once again, Miao Ki Veng Miao, Mese Miao Ki Miao. There is a little bit of humor here, okay? There is a silver lining, so to speak. Now, let me verify this last story real fast. And it's not really a story as much as it is just an update, I guess, on a stream that we will be doing in the future. Oh, that's very gross. Ew. People being weird on X already. Let's see here. What was I searching for? Sorry, I got flashbanged and I got distracted. Chud the Builder. Does Chud the Builder have a fight coming up? Let's see. Okay, I don't know. Versus Chibu. Okay, if so, we'll figure it out. Chud the Builder might have a Aiden Ross fight coming up, which would be hilarious to cover. So if Chud the Builder, if you're not familiar with him, you should look into him. Quite a funny, interesting gentleman. I think that could make for very interesting content. Probably an interesting stream at some point in the future. But we'll go ahead and get to your support and get out of here. Also, on top of that, the fact that there may be an interesting stream coming up in the future. Tomorrow, we are having the Council of Chud. It is at 6 p.m. CST tomorrow, so 2 hours earlier than the normal start time tomorrow. After a match, it will be myself, Tom Foe, Rhetorically Defective, and Atlas Thug, which should be an interesting conversation. I'm sure you're all going to love that as well, even though it's going to upset probably half the audience. Chud is literally gay. Okay, the thing about right-wing influencers, you know, is they're all gay. Like every single one of them. It's like dart into a dartboard, lands on gay. The whole board is just gay, okay? Bullshark for 5 says, never thought I would see American History X John was representing on D Wood's channel earlier. Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Bullshark. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Paulie B for 5 says, no duty to retreat and stand your ground results in dead euphemisms. Insert Jeremy Clarkson face. Oh no. Anyways, yes, exactly. It's actually, I view this as a total win. Mass Mark for 5 says, Trench is the Greta Thunberg of GunTube. I did a scowl side by side and they're a match. Very similar face structure. Very similar chromosomes. Thank you, Mass Mark. Appreciate that. Bull Shark for another 5 says, for real though, John, you don't have cancer, right? No, I don't have cancer. My hair was just super long, so I just cut it off. I just got rid of it. It's fine. Thank you, Bull Shark. Thank you. Thank you. Todd and Docs for 2 says, I grew up in KCMO, Kansas City, Missouri. Ends destroyed $5 billion Bannister Mall. Yeah, no, you can't go to any time where there's these people out in public. You can't even go around them. They just ruin everything. Everything just sucks when they're around. You just got to go somewhere else. You just, yeah, I mean, they kind of force you to abandon a lot of these places because you don't have an alternative. You can't remove them, you know. Thank you, Todd and Dogs. Ditch Hand Bomb for 10 says, John, can we address Jake's TA Target ad in TA Target's YouTube post on their YouTube channel? Yes, we certainly can. TA Targets. What are we talking about? Jake Paul? Is Jake Paul doing an ad for TA Targets? What am I looking at here? Ditch Hand Bomb, are you in chat? What are we looking at? Jake's TA Target ad in TA Target's YouTube post on their YouTube channel 12 hours ago. Let's see. With the Steel Target Selection Assistant, you can make the guesswork out of finding the best system for your needs. Simply answer 3 questions. You'll get a customized recommendations for your range. Is that it? Is this the one? There's not much here. I mean, findtatargets.com. I don't know. It seems stupid, right? You should not be buying TA targets in the first place. Like, I mean, unless you need steel targets, right? Most practical shooting applications do not require steel, or at least much steel. Like, you can get away with 1 or 2 steel targets if you're doing practical shooting with handguns. And if you're doing rifle shooting, well, much the same way, you know. Steel's very nice if you're between like 1 and 1,000 yards, but inside of that, you should be using paper mostly, right? Mostly paper. Unless it's really small steel, because you want to keep yourself accountable. Having a full-size steel at 50 yards is like, if you're hitting it, it's like, congratulations, you're doing the bare minimum. Yeah, I don't know. TA Targets, I don't know what post we're supposed to be looking at, but I don't know. I'm on TA Targets. This post is useless to me. Check the comment. IPSC, end of story. Well, I mean, paper targets are kind of the way to go, but for most practical shooting applications. Thank you, Ditch Hand Bob. But if that doesn't satisfy your request, you could simply send me a follow-up, and I will get that for you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ditch Hand Bob. Appreciate you. Amrite Boy for 2 says, John, why are you bald? I hate it. It's fine. I'll be this way for a couple months. I'll probably keep shaving it till like September, July or something. For a while. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Lightspore for 2 says, oh, damn, they look Filipino. They're something all right. Thank you very much, Lightspore. Amrite Boy for 2 says, Hmong are pests and respect no property of any type. Well, that does not surprise me. Thank you, Amrite Boy. Ditch Hand Bomb for 5 says, I agree with you said, look for the toe post. Toe post? Oh, shoot. What toe post? Toe post. Can I back up? How do I back up? Just get out. How far back do I have to get a toe post? Toe post? This is kids. I agree with what you said. Look for the toe post. Is it deleted? Am I getting tricked here, Ditch Hand Bomb? What am I supposed to look for? I don't see any toe post. No toe posting at all. Okay, I'm very upset now that I do not have toe on my timeline. I mean, this is what you should be having anyways. I don't know, man. Thank you for the $15, but I'm not finding what you're looking for. So, I mean, again, you don't need to keep super chatting. Just comment and I'll look for it. I think he's just getting you to advertise for TA targets. Like, does this do it for you? Does this advertise for TA targets? Is this exciting? I mean, this is what you should be buying. You should be buying paper targets for 80 cents a round. And then shooting and pasting them a bunch, like a lot. Thank you, my boy. Appreciate you. Ditch Hand Bomb for another 5 says, I agree with what you said. Look for the toe post. Did. Thank you. Over on Rumble, Jared for 2 says, was out with the guys. Is $2 for a quick recap of what you covered before Rage Bait. Christ is king and God is good. Thank you very much, Oh Jarrett. Well, I'll give you the 30-second recap while we're ending. Bone tactical silliness, fat lesbian silliness, Thailand trannies beating up Indian man, kind of funny. We talked about UFOs and how they're fake and gay and or demons or technology that the government doesn't want you to know. Hantavirus, the new rage, is not particularly interesting or scary. We went through a gay article. We went through a gay ATF Rule 34 comment section. We went through a CP handguard, CHP adopting the MNP 2.0, FBI agents losing or selling things. We talked about Ling Ling here getting state secrets out of Mr. Brown and probably some other substances as well. Just a whole host of rage baity type things. Thank you, Ojarrett. Ojarrett for another 2 says, focus, I just got here. Why are you bald? Why are you bald? Well, I had a lot of hair, okay? So I wanted to get rid of it. It was a lot, okay? It was a lot of hair, and glad it's gone now. Oh, Jarrett gifted 1 subscription to Focus Trip. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that, sirs. And, or Zers, I should say. And Koopa Troopa became a $10 a month Ko-Fi caffeine creep. That is very based of you, Koopa Troopa. Thank you. But with that out of the way, gentlemen, we're all out of here, okay? All out of here. That was all the rage bait I had. All the disgusting degeneracy I could muster for one Friday night, gents. I have a match in the morning. I did, if you watch the Instagram, if you're following me on Instagram, I did shoot the Cedar 9mm suppressor on the 17. Very hilarious. Okay. I did a bunch of filming last week. Gonna have a bunch of videos out this week. I'm still working on the Mark 1 video as it's sitting behind me. I did a little bit of additional filming for it just for funsies. But I got a match tomorrow morning. I'm in the Super Squad. Probably take second place. Have a shot at first, but realistically second place, maybe third place if I really suck. If my gun doesn't run, we'll figure it out. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging out with me on a Friday night. Thank you very much for the support, for the comments, for the chats, for hanging out, for lurking, because the lurkers are the best part of the show, undoubtedly, whether you're watching on X, YouTube, or Rumble. Thank you much. Get out there, get after it, and I'll see you tomorrow because we're going to be streaming again tomorrow, 6 p.m. CST, Council of Chud, myself, Tom Foe, Rhetorically Defective, Atlas Thugged, and you guys can't stop. 12th Monkey, member for 4 months, says Christ is king. Christ is king. That was going to be part of my message. Thank you, 12th Monkey. Appreciate you. Cody Fisher for 10 says, have a good weekend, gentlemen. You have a good weekend. But hey, just because it's the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't mean you can let go of the gas, okay? We always got to be scheming, wheeling and dealing, figuring out how to get ourselves ahead a little bit because the system's not helping us out. Okay. You know, people just want to do their 9 to 5. They want to veg out on the weekends. I get it. I know that that's the temptation to kind of take it easy, to relax. But now is not the time to relax. Okay. Everybody's up against you. Everybody wants to take something from you. And it's up to us to take the future back. Okay. Because not just for us, not just for our children, but for our children's children. Okay. The burden of today is placed upon our shoulders. Do not pray for a lighter burden. Pray for the widest shoulders to hold, the biggest burden. But with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, for hanging out. I will see you tomorrow. Godspeed. God bless. Christ is king.